Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Marvel. Starting with Spider-Man No Return. Chapter 21. Ding ding dong. Quietly, a round sphere that looked like a pumpkin rolled down under Yang Ming's feet. Violent energy was released instantly, and endless flames crazily engulfed the bodies of Yang Ming and Dr. Otto. Boom. A violent explosion sounded. The computer controlling the progress of the experiment was smashed to pieces. The artificial sun experiment began to lose control. The expansion speed suddenly accelerated, and the huge gravitational force centered on the artificial sun, absorbing everything that could be seen. If all this is not stopped, the artificial sun will turn into a black hole and swallow the whole world. Ding. The temporary task is started. Prevent the artificial sun from getting out of control, and reward a generation of Spider-Man with 1% power. On the top of the warehouse, Yang Ming, who escaped from the flames, hung Dr. Otto's body on the bracket with spider silk, and turned his head to look at the green demon armor stepping on the demon glider. Norman Osborn. Green Goblin. Yang Ming was not in a hurry to prevent the artificial sun from getting out of control, and smiled at it. "Hi, Mr. Osborn, I have been waiting for you for a long time." The Green Goblin's golden eyes flickered coldly, and he quacked and laughed strangely. "Spider-Man, you already guessed that I would appear." Yang Ming raised his camera and took a picture of the other party. Of course, if there are only Dr. Otto and Dr. Kurt, it would be too boring. He pointed at the out-of-control artificial sun and said with a smile, "Hey, man, do you still want to chat? If this continues, your hard work, the Osborn Group, will also be destroyed in this disaster." The devilish smile on the Green Goblin's face became more ferocious. He stretched out his hand and snapped his fingers, and the instruments surrounding the artificial sun sank, slowly falling into the sea water below the warehouse. Ding. Temporary task completed. The system prompt sounded. Yang Ming shrugged. Someone helped to complete the task. It was not too easy. Here, Dr. Otto, who had regained some strength, let out a heart-piercing cry when he saw the artificial sun disappearing into the sea water. "Do not." He broke free from the spider web, and fixed his angry eyes on the Green Goblin. "Norman, you ruined everything for me." "Quack quack, Dr. Otto, I secretly simulated your experimental data. Your experiment will not be successful, at least not now." Green Goblin grinned. "Then why do you still help me with the experiment?" Dr. Otto asked through gritted teeth. The Green Goblin looked at Yang Ming. "Of course it is to attract Spider-Man and kill the troublesome Spider-Man." Yang Ming looked at the direction where the artificial sun disappeared, with a look of pity on his face. "Just to lure me here. It's too wasteful. It costs a lot of money to conduct artificial sun experiments." Yang Ming glanced at the angry Dr. Otto, and showed old Dubai a very pleased smile. This guy's hatred should be transferred to the Green Goblin. "Sorry, Mr. Osborn, it's just you alone. It's hard to kill me completely." The Green Goblin controlled the demon glider under its feet to hover in the air. "Quack quack, of course I'm not alone." "Wow, Mr. Osborn, you are not alone, so what are you?" Yang Ming interrupted. "HMPH, childish joke." The Green Goblin waved his hand, and the wall of the warehouse was knocked out of a hole by a huge force. In the dusty sky, a large green lizard appeared in Yang Ming's sight with its tail wagging. "Peter." "No, fake Peter, we meet again." Dr. Kurt, who had regained his freedom, looked up and grinned. "Not killing me is the decision you regret most in your life." Yang Ming rolled his eyes. "A monster that can be killed instantly with one punch. After killing you, how can you still get temporary missions in the future?" "Not counting Dr. Otto, I'm not afraid." He waved his hand and said easily. "The appearance of Dr. Cotter is not too unpredictable. With the financial resources of the Osborn Group, it is not difficult to fish out Dr. Cotter from the official hands." "Quack, Spider-Man, and a friend, you must be very surprised." After the Green Goblin finished speaking, the inconspicuous sand piled up in the corner of the warehouse quickly turned into a terrifying sand tornado without any wind. The whole warehouse was crumbling, and a huge face could be vaguely seen roaring in the wind and sand. "Kill Spider-Man, I can go home." Inexplicably coming to this world, William Baker was eager to return to his own universe and reunite with his daughter. "Yes, you can go home after you kill Spider-Man." The Green Goblin smiled strangely. "Sandman." The corner of Yang Ming's mouth twitched. "It's just, let's sprinkle water," he said firmly. The three villains gathered together, and the Green Goblin was not satisfied. Drive Auto, your experimental data is not perfect. If I am willing to keep funding you, you can complete the second experiment, the third experiment, until your experiment is successful. Hearing this, most of Dr. Otto's anger dissipated in an instant, and he began to hesitate. Kakaka. Soon, Dr. Otto, who recovered most of his physical strength in a short period of time, turned around and pointed at Yang Ming with a sword, and an evil smile appeared on his fat face again. Counterfeit, thank you for saving me just now, it is your honor to die at the hands of the greatest scientist. Yang Ming, good guy, it's nice to have money so quickly turned back. Ah, actually, I have money to support you, well, I'm poor. 1 against 4, we can only call for reinforcements. Yang Ming shrugged. He glanced at the 4 villains and slowly surrounded them, without a trace of panic. Hey, Spider, come out and save the world. He raised his hand and shouted. What? The Green Goblin was startled, and looked up in the direction, only to see a hole opened at the top of the warehouse at some point, and the bright moonlight fell on the hot white figure along the hole. Hi, Mr. Spider, thank you for your letter, but you seem to have gotten into a lot of trouble now. Gwen waved her hands, her tone full of helplessness. 4 superpowers, how to fight. Spider-Woman. Seeing Gwen appear on the stage, before the Green Goblin could speak, a middle-aged man in a neat suit slowly walked out of the darkness. Norman Osborn. Yang Ming frowned, and Dr. Otto also looked surprised. Glancing back and forth between the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn, Yang Ming seemed to understand something. Norman Osborn glanced at Gwen calmly, and waved the goblin back. Mr. Spider-Man, I really want to know why you called Spider-Woman. Could it be that you don't have confidence in your own power? Norman Osborn asked tentatively. Yang Ming hung the roof upside down with spider silk, folded his arms, and asked, Mr. Osborn, why did you dare to gather 4 men to realize your plan? Don't you have confidence in yourself? Norman Osborn shook his head with a smile, and slowly took out a nano spider. This is yours, Mr. Spider. Of course, thanks for giving it back to me. Yang Ming launched the spider silk to take back the nano spider, but Norman Osborn didn't mean to stop it. Mr. Spider, I still underestimate you. Norman Osborn said with a smile. I thought you would be careless if you used nano spiders to send false information to you, but I didn't expect to be discovered by you. Yang Ming shook his head. No, in fact, I didn't doubt it at first. I just blew up a few of Osborn's helicopters that day, but the Osborn group didn't respond, so I started to doubt it. Just like that, Norman Osborn didn't believe it. That is it. Yang Ming will not tell the other party the real reason. The nano spider has been in the Osborn group for some time, but there is still no sign of the real secret of the Osborn group being exposed. He guessed that the task worth 3% of Spider-Man's power could not be easily completed with only nano spiders, so he decisively gave up relying on nano spiders to complete the task, and even doubted the authenticity of the message delivered by nano spiders. Because it all seems so smooth. After all, this is a world full of black technology, and the advantage of nano spiders is not too great. So, just in case, he notified Gwen in advance. But he still underestimated the Osborn group. Norman Osborn assembled the 4 villains. Even with Gwen's help, it was still a bit tricky. More importantly, Norman Osborn appeared in the warehouse, but the task still did not prompt to complete. It means that he has not yet come into contact with the real secrets of the Osborn group. Yang Ming squinted his eyes slightly, scanning the scene of the 4 villains with bad eyes. The situation is unfavorable, and the temporary mission has not come, so it is not worthwhile to fight. Mr. Osborn, I think I must go. Unfortunately, Mr. Spider, you may not be able to go. Norman Osborn pointed his finger at the sky, and the roar of the helicopter resounded over the warehouse. Osborn's personal armed forces arrived, which made Gwen regret it. She was too arrogant for not notifying her father's police force in time. But Yang Ming was not surprised but happy, and finally came. Ding! Temporary mission opened. Every time you defeat a supervillain on the scene, you can reward 1% of the power of a generation of Spider-Man. Except for Norman Osborn, as long as you defeat the 4 villains on the scene, you can get 4% of the power of a generation of Spider-Man. Yang Ming thinks this wave is a good deal. Mr. Spider, we are surrounded, what can you do? Gwen flew to Yang Ming's side, with a hint of anxiety in his tone. Yang Ming patted the other party's shoulder and said with a confident smile, "Don't worry, we still have a helper." "Is there any help?" Gwen hoped. "Of course, but I'm not sure he'll make a shot." Gwen, unhandled helper. This guy's unreliability reminded her of Yami. No matter what Gwen thought, a red and blue card appeared between Yang Ming's fingers. Spider-Man suit, 2nd generation. When the number of enemies is too large, the agility attribute of the 2nd generation Spider-Man is needed. Okay, no need to waste time, kill 2 Spider-Men, there will be no existence that can stop us in the future. Following Norman Osborn's order, the Green Goblin took the lead in responding, controlling the Devil's glider to rush towards the two of them. Da da da. The glider fired dense bullets, and at the same time the Green Goblin threw a pumpkin bomb, forcing Yang Ming and Gwen back in 2 directions. Quack quack, die, boom. The explosion destroyed half of the warehouse, bricks and rubble kept falling from the roof, and the white figure was extremely flexible, constantly shuttling between the falling objects. As for Yang Ming, with the door of space shattering like glass and his agility attribute skyrocketing, he can easily cope with the current situation. Hoo hoo hoo. The next moment, the Sandman roared wildly, and the wind and sand tornado expanded several times, dragging the falling objects and the 2 figures into the terrifying sandstorm. Do not. Gwen, who was caught in the sandstorm, launched the spider silk, trying to control the out-of-control body, but in this sandstorm, everything lost its aim, and the spider silk could not lock on any object. Tear. The terrifying sandstorm tore off Gwen's spider suit, exposing her flowing golden hair, and slapped her cheeks with the wind and sand. Wow. At this time, I saw Yang Ming switch the nano-metal battle suit without hesitation, stretch out the nano-glider under his armpit, and quickly approach Gwen with the thrust of the violent sandstorm. Hold it. Faintly, Gwen, who was blinded by the wind and sand, heard someone shouting, and subconsciously stretched out his right hand. Yang Ming opened his arms wide, the hang glider expanded again, and the speed was even better, and he grabbed Gwen's palm. Da da da. Just when Yang Ming made a move, the Green Goblin outside the sandstorm manipulated the glider and fired at the 2. The bullets stored in the glider mercilessly vented out, vowing to blast and kill the 2 people in the sandstorm. Careful. In an instant, the spider sensor came into play, and Yang Ming didn't have time to think about it. He kicked Gwen's small buttocks and kicked it away from the sandstorm, and the dense bullets immediately submerged Yang Ming. If these bullets fell on Gwen, he would be half disabled even if he didn't die. For example, the 2nd generation Amazing Spider-Man could be broken by a sniper rifle. The defense of the agile Spider-Man was extremely weak. With the defensive power of the nano-metal suit, Yang Ming doesn't have to worry about the firepower of this ordinary thermal weapon. But here, Gwen only felt a severe pain in the tailbone, and then got out of the sandstorm inexplicably. Before he could use the spider silk to control his body, he fell to the ground like a ball and bounced twice. It hurts. Gwen grinned and stood up, covering his lower back, and looked back at Yang Ming, who had been set on fire by the sandstorm. Only then did he realize what happened. It was Mr. Spider who saved me, Gwen exclaimed, and then launched a spider thread to pull Yang Ming out of the sandstorm. Roar. A terrifying roar roared from behind, and Gwen sensed it, resolutely gave up the next step, and instead used spider silk to stick to the building above her head, leaping up, narrowly avoiding the pounce of the lizard man. Ka-ka-ka. Immediately afterwards, there was a noise from the roof, and the mechanical tentacles of the octopus quickly led Dr. Otto to climb up, and the lizard man on the other side also climbed the wall like a big gecko and killed Gwen. Gwen's heartbeat quickened, and his eyes fell on Yang Ming, who was still being set on fire by the Green Goblin in the sandstorm, and his eyes rolled. Hey, big green guy, monster with sunglasses with 4 whips, haven't you had enough hamburgers tonight? Come and catch me. With an idea in mind, Gwen no longer felt uneasy, and resumed her mischievous state as Spider-Woman, launching spider silks flying across the roof, constantly attracting the lizard man and Dr. Otto towards the sandstorm. Little white spider, I will tear you apart. Hee hee. Spider-Woman, you can't escape. The 2 moved faster, and foreign objects kept falling from the roof. At the warehouse door, Norman Osborn glanced at the battle situation on the scene and shook his head slightly. Still underestimated the power of Spider-Man. Boss, we can go. The assistant beside him said respectfully. Let's go. Norman Osborn knew that the plan had gone wrong, and Spider-Man would not be killed so easily. After Norman Osborn took a helicopter away from the battlefield, the Lizard Man and Dr. Otto were successfully led by Gwen to the vicinity of the sandstorm. Boom! The mechanical tentacles failed to hit the target several times. Dr. Otto was a little impatient, but Gwen took the opportunity to lock a mechanical tentacle with spider silk, and then shouted at Yang Ming in the sandstorm. "Hey Mr. Spider, here's a present for you." After speaking, the other end of the spider silk was launched towards the sandstorm. Puff! The spider silk rushed into the sandstorm at high speed. Yang Ming immediately controlled the hang glider to adjust its direction, and caught the incoming spider silk with the thrust of the wind and sand. "Haha, thank you, old iron, for the gift." Yang Ming pulled the spider thread, and Dr. Otto's expression changed drastically. He immediately gave up besieging Gwen, and firmly fixed his body with 3 mechanical tentacles to prevent himself from being drawn into the sandstorm. "Quack quack, you can't get out." The Green Goblin stepped on the glider and flew to the side of the spider silk, and the glider ejected the blade to cut it off. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Suddenly, a large amount of spider silk entangled the Green Goblin's body, and Gwen turned over like a jumping elf and landed behind the Green Goblin, sending the other end of the spider silk into the sandstorm. "Hello, little green cutie, come on and fly." Gwen blew a kiss and sent silk flying across the roof, distracting the increasingly impatient lizardmen. The Green Goblin cursed, but still persisted in manipulating the glider to cut off the spider's thread, but Yang Ming wouldn't give him a chance. "Your fate is under my control, and I will send you a general's order." Yang Ming grinned, and held the spider silk in 2 directions with his left and right hands respectively. Different forces of priority acted on the spider silk in both hands, and the force was transmitted to the Green Goblin and Dr. Otto, making them unable to maintain their balance, and even more so. Not to mention having extra energy to cut the spider web. But this method won't last long, and Yang Ming doesn't want to play anymore. "Go away." The huge force erupted, and Yang Ming finally broke free from the sandstorm with the strength of the spider silk. Immediately after leaving the sandstorm, Dr. Otto and the Green Goblin regained their balance, and coincidentally attacked Yang Ming in midair. In the middle of the air, facing the 2 men who were coming to kill him, Yang Ming just launched a spider's thread and flew upwards, easily avoiding the 2 men's siege. On the roof, the lizard man was covered with spider silk, and Gwen couldn't do effective damage to the lizard man with rough skin and thick flesh. "Let me." Yang Ming replaced Gwen, and landed on the roof like walking on the ground. His legs exploded with unmatched strength, and the steel bars under his feet suddenly made a sound of being overwhelmed. He turned into a phantom and rushed to the lizard man. Boom! Triple inch. In an instant, the hideous expression on the lizard man's face became stiff, and Yang Ming used the same move to break through the defense, and his limp body fell from the roof to the ground, creating a hole in the ground. "Oh, Mr. Spider, you are awesome." Gwen put her hands on her chest, pretending to be pretty. "Hey, I can do better." Yang Ming turned to look at Dr. Otto and the Green Goblin who were coming quickly, and said, "One left and one right, hold the big octopus first, and give me 3 seconds to deal with the Green Goblin." 3 seconds. Gwen froze for a moment. This man is so fast. "Go away." Without waiting for Gwen to react, Yang Ming threw Gwen towards Dr. Otto, and then he jumped down from a high place and swooped in the direction where the Green Goblin was flying. Spider-Man. The glider under the Green Goblin's feet fired dense bullets, and Yang Ming stretched out the gliding wings under his armpit to easily avoid the bullets, and at the same time fired spider silk to bind the Green Goblin's body. Call. As the breeze blew, Yang Ming's figure instantly disappeared from the Green Goblin's sight. What? The Green Goblin scanned the surroundings, but found no trace of Yang Ming at all. Bugs, can they just hide? Halfway through the conversation, the Green Goblin lowered his head abruptly as if he had sensed something. "Hey green guy, you're so careless." Yang Ming, who was originally hiding at the bottom of the glider, showed half of his head and reached out to take out the pumpkin bomb stored in the glider. Bye. No. Boom. In midair, a terrifying explosion destroyed half of the warehouse again. All the pumpkin bombs in the glider were detonated one after another, and the entire warehouse was plunged into endless flames until the entire warehouse was overturned. Boom. The sandstorm was blown away, the flames broke through the warehouse, and a large number of helicopters circling at high altitude rushed into the air to avoid being affected by the explosion. On the Manhattan Bridge, countless people watched this gorgeous and terrifying large-scale fireworks. The warehouse was destroyed once, and under the aftermath of the explosion, the warehouse slowly sank and was submerged by seawater. In a residential building not far away, Yongming put the weak Gwen on the ground. Ahem, Mr. Spider, we agreed, 3 seconds. Gwen was almost stunned by the explosion. Her delicate facial features were blackened by black smoke, most of her close-fitting battle clothes were scorched, revealing. Well, this thing is indescribable, and it is difficult to do without nutrition. Yongming fed the other party some water. Well, don't ask where the water comes from, how to feed it, how much to feed it, how long it takes, and how it tastes. Gwen's physical fitness far surpassed that of ordinary people, but he recovered within a few minutes. Ahem, Mr. Spider, we defeated them. No, not yet. Yongming waved his hands and looked at the dark wall. Defeat the Lizardman, reward a generation of Spider-Man with 1% power. Defeating the Green Goblin rewards a generation of Spider-Man with 1% power. Defeat Dr. Octopus, reward a generation of Spider-Man with 1% power. The explosion just now was enough to make the 3 villains lose their fighting power, but the Sandman was still full of blood. The explosion scattered the sandstorm, and it was impossible to cause any damage to the Sandman. Mr. Spider, what are you looking at? Gwen flicked her long, somewhat burnt yellow hair with a curious look on her face. The mask was destroyed, and she didn't care about revealing her identity. Because long before, she had been discovered by the other party. She was also very worried during that time, but until now, the general public still doesn't know her identity, and Mr. Spider should have no ill intentions towards her. It's more likely to be some kind of bad taste. Yongming came back to his senses, and casually said a few perfunctory words. He looked up and saw a large number of helicopters still hovering high in the sky, and said, "It's nothing, we will leave after the helicopters disperse." Gwen nodded, "No problem." The explosion was loud. The police should be here soon. They don't dare to stay too long. As soon as I said this, there was another loud noise in the sky. Be alert, there is an unknown biological attack. Boom. There was another loud noise in the sky, and the helicopter exploded like the brightest fireworks in the night sky, illuminating the surrounding area. It's a mechanical tentacles, Dr. Otto's mechanical tentacles. Boom. The terrifying mechanical tentacles extended hundreds of meters, easily piercing the helicopter, and explosions resounded through the sky one after another. Retreat. Retreat. Drive Otto betrayed the group. Oh no. Boom. A few more helicopters were bombarded by the octopus arm, and a large number of helicopters scattered down in pieces. The remaining helicopters did not dare to stay any longer and quickly evacuated the scene. Drive Otto actually attacked the Osborne Group's private armed forces, is he crazy? Gwen was shocked. Yongming raised his eyebrows and smiled. No, he's not crazy, he's our helper. Helper. Gwen looked disbelieving. Kakaka. Suddenly, the familiar mechanical tentacles sounded from outside the floor, and the thicker mechanical arm slowly climbed up the wall. A trace of red current permeated the mechanical arm, exuding terrifying energy fluctuations. It's Dr. Otto. Gwen's heartbeat quickened, and she immediately stood up and assumed a fighting posture. Yongming patted the opponent's shoulder. Don't worry, he is not an enemy. As soon as the words fell, an old man with sunglasses in a black windbreaker and white hair appeared in the line of sight of the two of them, supported by a mutated mechanical arm. Drive Otto, it seems not. Gwen was stunned. The white-haired old man walked slowly by manipulating the robotic arms, one of which was carrying Dr. Otto, who was blackened and fainted. Hey, Peter of this world, are you okay? The white-haired old man had a kind face and a kind smile. Although the energy emanating from their bodies was extremely terrifying, it didn't cause the two of them's spider senses to alert. Hi, Dr. Otto, you are old. Yongming waved his hand in greeting. Hearing this, Gwen patted his head, but still didn't understand what happened, so he could only stay aside obediently. The white-haired Otto nodded with a smile, and his eyes fell on Gwen. Peter, you are not alone anymore, I am happy for you. Yongming shrugged. Sorry, I forgot to tell you, I'm not Peter. The white-haired Otto was a little surprised, and soon returned to smiling. Okay, Spider-Man, I get it, you're not Peter, but that doesn't stop me from liking you. He smiled kindly, and the wrinkles on his face told about the vicissitudes of the years. Can you tell me about your experience? Yang Ming smiled. Another Dr. Otto appeared, which he expected. He can now be sure that the reward for defeating an enemy has nothing to do with the enemy's strength. The reason why you can get a 2% reward for defeating Dr. Otto is because more than one Dr. Otto came to this world. Dr. Otto from another universe, another timeline. Defeating the white-haired Otto in front of you can get another 1%. But judging by the situation, he might not be able to beat him now. With the super mechanical arm extending hundreds of meters at will, and the terrifying energy attached to the mechanical arm, the strength of white-haired Otto is not comparable to that of ordinary surface-level superpowers. Why did the white-haired Otto become so strong? He really wanted to know. And the white-haired Otto did not refuse Yang Ming's request. When he came to this world, he also missed Spider-Man, his former comrade in arms. It's just that he was worried that the Spider-Man in this world would be hostile to him, so he didn't want to show up until now. Haha, my experience, where do I start? He looked up at the sky, narrowed his cloudy eyes slightly, and fell into his own memories. Otto Gunther Octavius was born in Schenectady, New York, from a poor family background. His father was a factory worker with a tendency to violence and alcoholism. He often beat his wife and children for no reason. Son. He swore that he would never be like his father in the future. He began to study hard, not only to become a successful person, but also to save his mother. Otto later majored in physical science and became an outstanding nuclear physicist. He specialized in atomic energy physics. Because he has always been the best student, Otto was extremely disdainful of the so-called assistants, thinking that you can handle everything by yourself. Later, he invented the mechanical tentacles, which can lift 8 tons of heavy objects with simple operation, complete anti-radiation energy, strong power, and extremely high precision, which allowed him to complete amazing experiments one after another, wrote countless new theories, making him famous all over the world. In a later artificial sun experiment, the pipeline ruptured and the radiation leaked out, causing a big explosion. Although Otto survived by chance, the 4 mechanical tentacles had been fused with the body. In addition, the components of the radiation caused changes in his brain tissue. Because of the addition of 4 hands, Otto's brain rearranged the nerve circuits in the body in order to optimize the body, and the body became stronger. These tentacles can operate exactly according to Otto's thoughts, but sometimes, the mechanical tentacles can be sent to manipulate his thoughts. This makes him the most terrifying criminal. In the first battle of his debut, he beat Spider-Man so helplessly that Peter even thought of giving up being Spider-Man. He frantically robbed wealth to support his experiment, but at the last moment of the experiment, Spider-Man stopped him. He hated Spider-Man and Peter. In the end, at the moment when he sank into the sea with the artificial sun experiment, he was lucky enough to get the chance to change his fate, and traveled through time and space to another world, which also has the world of Spider-Man. He began to take revenge on Spider-Man crazily, but Peter in this world had a super tech suit, he couldn't beat him, and was arrested. In this world, he met the long-dead Norman Osborn, as well as the Lizard Man, the Electric Man, the Sand Man. They were also caught by Peter. Expected to die, but this Peter was different, younger and more innocent. Peter wanted to save them from sin, and paid a heavy price for this. Otto became the first criminal to be rescued. He has full control over his mechanical arm, and he doesn't have to worry about being affected by the mechanical arm. But Peter still has to face the evil consequences he committed. Peter in this world has lost his most respected Mr. Stark, and now he has lost his dearest Aunt May. Peter has lost so much, Otto decides to help him. During the battle at the Statue of Liberty, he saw his old friend, another Peter. No, there are 3 Peters. Oh wonderful universe. In the end, with the help of Otto, the battle was won, and the youngest Peter gave up his hatred and chose the fate of saving everyone. However, what he got in return was that everyone forgot about him. Otto has a new understanding of the 3 words Spider-Man. After this battle, he returned to his own world, and the other Peter returned. The fate was successfully reversed, and they became friends, developing superpowers together, fighting together, and saving the world again and again. This is the time he misses the most. The years are merciless, he is old, and Peter is old. On a leisurely day, a familiar feeling came, and he traveled through time and space again. Traveling through time and space for the second time, the unknown energy of time and space made him stronger. He desperately wants to communicate with Peter in this world, but he is worried that there will be another self in this world, another sinful self. He was afraid of misunderstanding and did not dare to appear in front of Peter, but he paid attention to every battle of Spider-Man. The Spider-Man of this world, how should I put it? Stronger, more arrogant, but also has a kind heart. Saved the train, did not kill the lizardmen, and would assist the police in catching criminals. Likes to mess around with another lady with superpowers. It's nice to be young. After observing for a while, he was relieved. As long as the explanation is clear, Peter will understand him. He decides to meet up with Spider-Man, who just happens to be dealing with another Otto fan blunder. Oh no, Spider-Man is in danger and Norman Osborn has set a trap. I'm going to help him. No, the Peter of this world is very smart, he can solve all the troubles. During the explosion, he saved another self, and wanted to save himself even more. After solving the armed forces of Sandman and Osborn group, it's time to meet Spider-Man. Strange, Peter was not surprised by my appearance, he knew that I would appear, it was unbelievable, I have to keep calm. He's not Peter, and I'd love to be friends with him anyway. Drive Otto, are you saying that the second time travel has made you stronger? Yang Ming stroked his chin and asked thoughtfully. White-haired Otto was stunned. I said so much, you just remember that I became stronger. Oh yes, Peter, no, Spider-Man, what should I call you? Oh, you can call me whatever you want. Yang Ming waved his hand and looked at Gwen, who was in a daze. Hey Ms. Spider, do you understand? Gwen came back to his senses. Of course, I'm a top student at Imperial University, and of course I know a little bit about multiverse theory. She looked at Yang Ming with strange eyes. Mr. Spider, you are not Peter, but they all call you Peter. So, you're not the Spider-Man of this world. Quote, haha, you're very smart. There was only one Spider-Man in this world, and that was you. Yang Ming didn't mean to hide anything. Even if it's okay to reveal your identity now, wouldn't it be boring? He always remembered that he was only here to travel. Gwen is very adaptable, understands everything, and her curiosity is satisfied. Oh, I remembered, I have a party. Gwen let out an exclamation, and was about to launch a spider web to leave. By the way, Mr. Spider, thank you for saving me again, I am very happy to be friends with you, bye. She turned her head and blew a kiss to Yang Ming, then flicked her hair and jumped off the rooftop. White-haired Otto shook his head and smiled. This young man is very cute, but not polite enough. Yang Ming rolled his eyes. It's just that I didn't say hello to you, don't you need to remember it so clearly? Otto, well, how do you deal with this? He pointed to Otto, behind the white-haired Otto. The white-haired Otto looked at the middle-aged version of himself, and said, as long as the control chip is transplanted, he will reform himself. Yang Ming nodded without objecting. Although he couldn't continue to spawn monsters in this way, the system probably wouldn't give him too many chances to spawn monsters. This, Otto, is probably useless. By the way, there are Sandmen. Don't worry, he was thrown into the sea by me, and he won't recover in a short time. Defeat Sandman, reward a generation of Spider-Man with 1% power. Although the Sandman was finally beaten into the sea by the white-haired Otto, Yang Ming also participated in the middle process, so the task reward was successfully distributed. Calling up the system interface, Yang Ming smiled with satisfaction and received the task reward. Defeat Dr. Octopus, stop the artificial sun from getting out of control, defeat the combination of 4 villains, and get a total of 6% of Spider-Man's power. A steady stream of power poured into his body, and while his physical fitness skyrocketed, Yang Ming fell into deep thought. Brooklyn Bridge defeated the Lizardman, and the reward for the temporary mission made him suspicious of the temporary mission to defeat Dr. Otto. As it turns out, there is indeed another Dr. Otto. There are no more than 3 possibilities for not finding Peter for revenge. In the first, the other Otto is caught up in other things and has no time for revenge. The second type, the other Otto finds out that he is not Spider-Man's opponent, and intends to hide his strength, bide his time, act secretly, and plan other conspiracies. The third type, another Otto in the timeline after being rescued by the little spider, has left the villain camp. Of these three possibilities, only the third has the highest probability. There are no superpowers in this world. Dr. Otto's strength is not weak, and no one or anything can stop his desire for revenge. Moreover, if Dr. Otto knew that he was no match for Spider-Man, he would definitely turn to start his own artificial sun experiment. The experiment required a lot of wealth, and it was impossible for there to be no movement during this period. Secretly plotting a conspiracy. The evil robotic arm will not allow Dr. Otto to be so sane. And the third case is also the best case. In Spider-Man: No Return for Heroes, Dr. Otto is the first villain to be rescued by the little spider. Dr. Otto, who has completely controlled the mechanical arm, has regained his previous sobriety. The artificial sun experiment was not small, and the white-haired Otto was very familiar with this experiment, and could quickly detect the abnormal energy fluctuations, so he would definitely come to the scene. The loss of control of the artificial sun will threaten the whole world. No matter what the purpose of the white-haired Otto is, he will take action to stop it. After all, he does not want to die in the engulfment of the black hole. Furthermore, the nanometal suit worn by Yongming could not let the white-haired Otto sit idly by. He owed little spider more than just a simple life. The little spider gave him hope for the future again. It's just that the white-haired Otto didn't expect that Yongming could deal with the siege of the four villains alone, and he could only do some finishing work. After thinking for a moment, Yongming looked at the time and smiled at the white-haired Otto. "Drive Otto, I still have a party, let's talk another day." The white-haired Otto nodded, "No problem." As he spoke, he raised a mechanical arm, and a cloud of crimson metal liquid flowed out from the energy hole in the mechanical claw, slowly condensing into a metal card. "There is my address here, you can come to me anytime." He smiled and handed the card to Yongming. Yongming took the card and frowned. Nano-metal technology. His tone was a little surprised. Even Tony Stark couldn't develop this kind of technology alone. The nano-steel armor was successfully manufactured with the help of Wakanda's technology. "White-haired Otto is so awesome now." White-haired Otto said with a smile. "Yes, nano-metal technology, Peter in that world told me, this is Wakanda's high technology. I've always wanted this technology, and it wasn't until many years later that I really succeeded in researching it, and it made my robotic arm more perfect." Quote. Yongming touched his chin, his eyes full of curiosity. "Drive Otto, what else have you studied all these years?" The white-haired Otto thought for a while. In addition to nano-metal technology, there are also nuclear fusion experiments. "You succeeded in your research." Yongming's eyes lit up. Nuclear fusion technology, that is, the artificial sun experiment. If the artificial sun experiment is successful, it will represent an almost inexhaustible source of energy, comparable to Tony's arc reactor. The white-haired Otto shook his head. "No, my nuclear fusion experiment has never made a breakthrough." Yongming was a little disappointed, but soon heard the white-haired Otto speak again. "In that world, the Electric Man Max stole Mr. Stark's relic, the arc reactor. I helped Peter defeat the Electric Man and snatched back Mr. Stark's arc reactor, but the return was too hasty, and I didn't intend to. Arc reactor brings back Minecraft. With the help of Peter, well, another Peter, we succeeded in replicating cold fusion technology using an arc reactor as a reference, but because one of the elements came from an unknown source, we had to replace it with palladium, so it wasn't perfect." Quote. White-haired Otto had a look of pity, but Yongming had a look of surprise. Although the reactor copied by white-haired Otto did not replace palladium with new elements, the energy supply was much weaker than Tony's arc reactor, but it was also a proper black technology, which was definitely enough to make steel armor. "Drive Otto, can you show me the reactor you copied?" Yongming looked expectantly. Of course. The white-haired Otto turned around with a smile, and saw an external energy device installed on his back, slowly emitting 4 crimson rays of light, and each mechanical arm had an independent reactor to supply energy. "Dude, Tony only uses 1 reactor, you old boy uses 4. Can't afford to play." Yongming was speechless in his excitement, but he still said with a straight face, "Drive Otto, do you have any spare reactors? Give me 1. He wasn't worried about the palladium poison in the reactor. Tony's situation was special, so he almost died from the palladium poison. It is easy to solve these problems with an energy device like Otto the White Hair. Facing Yang Ming's request, the white-haired Otto was stunned, a little speechless. Probably not. If you want, I'd be happy to help you recreate one. He smiled awkwardly. Yang Ming was overjoyed. Really, thank you so much, Dr. Otto. You're welcome. The cost of manufacturing a reactor is only $1,000,000. Wait, how much is it? Yang Ming's smile was extremely stiff. White-haired Otto raised 3 fingers, $300 million. The atmosphere turned cold, and Yang Ming fell silent. If possible, he wanted to rob the white-haired old man in front of him directly. This guy has 4. Then if you add the matching steel armor, how much will it cost? Yang Ming asked tentatively. The white-haired Otto roughly calculated, well, the cost of the armor needs to be at least $16 billion. If you add the instruments and tools for manufacturing the armor, the special equipment for subsequent maintenance of the armor, and the performance of the armor, about hundreds of millions of dollars. What about people? When he turned his head, he found that there was no one beside him, and the figure flying in the distance was slightly embarrassed. Hey, don't be so anxious to prepare funds. White-haired Otto shouted. Knowing that I can make a reactor, this little guy is so happy. Don't mention money to me, you guys are bullying people, I won't play anymore. Yang Ming's cry was full of helplessness. Hey, little guy, what are you talking about? I can't understand Chinese. In the suburbs of New York, a luxurious villa under the name of Osborne. In the garden swimming pool, Harry and Mary jumped into the pool together, splashing waves from time to time, playing some indescribable tricks in the water. On the shore of the pool, music, barbecue, beer, beauties, bikinis, everyone is having a good time, but Peter sitting on the shore is very lonely. Looking at the 2 people playing in the swimming pool, Peter sighed helplessly. The glamorous Mary, only the excellent Harry can match her. Peter Parker, you are just an ordinary person, with no wealth, no rights, and even an ordinary face, and Mary does not belong to you. Hey Peter, why don't you play with me? Putting on casual clothes, Gwen hurried over and patted Peter on the shoulder, handing Peter a bottle of beer. Peter took the beer, looked at everyone present, and asked casually, Gwen, have you seen Yami? Gwen spread her hands. It should be that his date is not over yet. Yami's date. Peter sighed again. Yami had a girlfriend when she first came to New York, but I was still alone. Hey, Gwen, I'm looking for a quiet place where you can have fun. Peter got up, glanced reluctantly at Mary in the swimming pool, and walked lonely to the woods outside the garden. Seeing this, Gwen could only shake her head helplessly. The god of Cupid, love, what exactly does it bring to men? Turning around, the sympathy on her face instantly turned into excitement. Hey guys, let's get high together. The bright moonlight fell on the earth, and a ray of moonlight shined on Peter's lonely figure through the leaves. All the happiness under the lights in the distance seemed to have nothing to do with him. Peter was lying on the pile of dead trees, looking at the sparse leaves in the sky with his hands on his pillow. The stars among the leaves flickered. He didn't notice the black liquid under the dead trees slowly crawling up his skin. Suddenly, he seemed to see Mary smiling at him. Her smile is beautiful, and it slowly becomes blurred. Peter, we're best friends, why did you take Mary away? Peter, I'm sorry, it's Harry I love. Peter, you've let me down. Harry and Mary are your friends. Peter, your character is too bad, I disdain to be friends with you, you don't deserve to be a fan of Spider-Woman. Harry's anger, Mary's apology, Gwen's accusation, and Yami's disdainful gaze kept hitting his mind. He blames himself, collapses, is helpless, and regrets. But he didn't know what he had done. I stole Mary. My friendship with Harry has come to an end. No, I love Mary, but I don't want to lose Harry's friendship either. Gwen and Yami are my friends, I don't want them to misunderstand me. I don't want to do anything, I can't do anything, I don't deserve anything, I'm just a piece of shit. Waste. Oh, trash. Yes, crap. What can a trash do? In the lost illusion, a gray nothingness. The long and narrow white demon eyes exude a strange light. Quack quack, Peter, you will no longer be useless in the future, you will get everything you want. The gray area quickly retreated, the black demon laughed ferociously, mucus splashed between its horrific fangs, and its disgusting long tongue constantly challenged his nerves. The helpless Peter looked at the black demon in horror, his body limp on the ground. You, what are you? His eyes widened, and his heart was filled with fear. The demon grinned and approached Peter, looking down at the weak human. I will be your partner, your only partner, and you can only rely on me in the future. Rely on. A picture flashed in Peter's mind. He had a weak personality since he was a child, and he could only rely on Harry when he was bullied. Lack of talent and poor academic performance, he can only rely on Gwen to help him with his homework. Clumsy, dismissed from part-time job, can only rely on Uncle Ben at home. Now, I have to rely on an ugly guy. Do not. I don't want to rely on anyone anymore. I want to become a person like Spider-Woman, with absolute power and absolute dominance. Boom. At this moment, the gray space trembled violently, and the black demon let out a terrified roar. What? Why is this? Humans shouldn't be like this. My body, no. The black demon collapsed with the gray space, and Peter suddenly woke up from his sleep. I just was dreaming. Peter stood up and breathed heavily. His heartbeat slowly returned to normal, his body seemed to have changed, and he felt that he had experienced something terrible. Lowering his head subconsciously, Peter exclaimed suddenly. No, what is this? The unknown black liquid covering the hands quickly spread throughout the body, and gradually solidified. The spider web-like lines spread rapidly, turning into a cool spider logo on the chest, and the body muscles swelled even more. I became Spider-Man. Pete touched the mask covering his head and became excited. Suddenly, an evil voice rang in his ears. Human, you forcibly changed my form. You are not Spider-Man, you are Venom. Villa. When Yang Ming arrived here, everyone's interest reached its peak. The loud music made Yang Ming feel uncomfortable, but the bikini he saw made him suppress the urge to leave. Hey Yami, how's it going, isn't it great? Gwen noticed that Yang Ming was present, and immediately handed him a bottle of beer. Hey Gwen, is that what you mean by surprise? Yang Ming glanced at the models by the pool. Well, the beer is pretty good. Gwen stepped forward to block Yang Ming's sight, and said with a mysterious smile, Yami, you underestimate me. She motioned Yang Ming to look to the other side. Ruth, who was wearing a black bikini, was having a drink with her friends, looking a little drunk. What do you mean? Yang Ming frowned. Gwen approached and said, Ruth can't swim. If there is a chance, I will accidentally push her into the pool. You are a hero to save the beauty, and you will definitely catch her. What? Yang Ming glared at Gwen, you are such a person, I misread you. Gwen didn't expect Yang Ming to react so strongly. Yami, isn't this bad? Yang Ming snorted coldly, and raised his head arrogantly. It doesn't matter whether you can catch Ruth or not, what matters is. What is it? Let me jump in the pool, that's another price. Gwen, well, this guy doesn't deserve beautiful and rich Ruth. He only deserves to play video games with Peter. As soon as she thought of Peter, Gwen saw Peter who had returned. But Peter's expression is really ugly. Hey Gwen, you look so pretty tonight. Peter walked briskly, walking with the wind, turned around with the rhythm of the music, and put his right hand on Yang Ming's shoulder. Hey, Yami, my friend, you came just in time, let's go pick up girls. Peter flicked his bangs, showing a domineering president-like smile. Yang Ming, this guy is so greasy. Peter, are you all right? Gwen's eyes looked like he was looking crazy. This guy usually avoids talking to girls, not to mention picking up girls. After a trip to the woods, figured it out. Of course, Gwen, I've never been better, I feel great, really. Facing Gwen, the corners of Peter's mouth turned up, unscrupulously evoking a wicked and charming smile, which made Yang Ming on the side subconsciously stay away from Peter. If you are not the main character but dare to show such a smile, you will definitely be in bad luck later. Yami, what are you waiting for? Don't be shy, leave the rest to me. Peter hooked Yang Ming's shoulder and was about to pull it hard. The corner of Yang Ming's mouth twitched, wanting to refuse. Wait, I'm not ready yet. He frowned. Peter's strength. Although he is not wearing a battle suit now, his strength is far less than that of the real Spider-Man. But after a series of missions, he now possesses 11% of Spider-Man's strength, and his arms can lift about 3 tons of heavy objects. He can barely be regarded as a surface-level ability user, and ordinary people can't compare with him. But now, Peter's strength was beyond imagination, and he was able to pull him easily. What happened? Yang Ming thought about it, and no longer resisted, allowing Peter to push him to the side of a group of hot girls. And Peter didn't seem to react. He didn't notice his abnormality at all, and he didn't notice what was wrong with Yang Ming. It seems that he has just acquired this kind of power, so he ignores the sense of power difference. Yang Ming thoughtfully. One grows, and the other grows, and the strength of the two increases simultaneously. The two push and shove as usual, and Peter will not notice the abnormality. But Peter wasn't alone. Hey human, your friend looks delicious. The sound of Venom swallowing saliva sounded in his mind, and Peter, who was chatting vigorously with the girls, paused and clenched his fists involuntarily. I warn you not to hurt my friend. Peter's face suddenly became gloomy, and he gritted his teeth, making the girls beside him confused for a while. Harry's friend seems to be a psycho. Yang Ming took a sip of his cocktail and looked sideways at Peter. Peter, what's the matter with you? Oh, I'm fine, you guys play, I'm going to the bathroom. Peter's face was not very good. He turned and left in a hurry, his footsteps were flustered, and he accidentally bumped into Gwen, who was walking towards him. My wine. Gwen was knocked back by Peter's sudden strength, and the wine bottle in his hand fell out. With sharp eyes and quick hands, Peter turned slightly and caught the wine bottle that hadn't fallen to the ground. Hey Gwen, be careful. Peter handed the bottle to Gwen, the gloom on his face dissipated a little, and he passed Gwen with a stiff smile. Gwen blinked, looking at Peter's back in confusion. She could easily catch the flying wine bottle, but in order not to attract attention, she didn't even want to catch the wine bottle at that time. Instead, Peter, who has always been uncoordinated, caught the wine bottle. Doesn't this guy exercise in private? Gwen laughed. Love, just Peter's strength. She tilted her head and thought for a while. No, it should be because I didn't stand still just now. I went back to deliver some medicine to Peter. It would hurt if I got hit. After all, I'm Spider-Woman, haha. She was narcissistic in her heart thought. At this moment, Yang Ming walked up to Gwen, with an inexplicable tone in his tone. Hey, Gwen, just now. Peter was pretty quick, wasn't he? Yes, Peter is in good form today, he is more confident. Gwen clinks glasses with Yang Ming, happy that her friend can get out of the sadness of crush. Yang Ming rolled his eyes. This guy didn't notice Peter's abnormality at all. Villa Corner. Listen, buddy, you are not allowed to think of my friend, do you hear me clearly? Peter scowled into the air in a low voice. In the past, he might have begged, but now his emotions have been magnified, and he has a lot of grumpiness. Wow wow wow. A devil's face protruded from Peter's back from the black liquid, and he said with a ferocious smile, Human, your friend is really delicious, let me eat him. Shut up. Peter cursed. No, absolutely not. If you dare to hurt Yami, I won't make it easier for you. The devil's face said disappointedly. Oh, what a pity, then eat that woman seems to be more delicious. Woman, Gwen. Peter wanted to punch the shit out of the ugly guy. That's my friend too, don't you? Oh, buddy, you have so many friends. I mean, you are not allowed to hurt anyone, any human. Peter said seriously. Venom parasitizing human beings will amplify the parasite's desire and evil thoughts, but Peter has only desires and no evil thoughts. Being parasitized by Venom, he still maintains kindness, but because of the parasitism of Venom, he gains strength and confidence that he never had before. Venom categorically refuses to allow Peter to eat. I saw two hands stretched out from the black liquid, and the demon covered his face and wailed, No, no, I will starve to death, no. The black liquid became extremely unstable. Seeing that the venom was showing signs of getting out of control, Peter thought for a while, then spoke slowly. Listen buddy, I will find a way for your food. By the way, besides humans, what else is your food? Brains, delicious brains. Peter felt chills for a while, but in order to stabilize Venom's mood, he could only say, Okay, I will prepare the brains of other animals for you, and you are not allowed to harm humans in the future. Oh, well, the brains of other animals, I don't know if they are delicious. Venom promised, but he didn't care about it in his heart, thinking that he would have a full meal when he found a chance in the future. Peter's threats seemed meaningless to it. Boom. Suddenly, white light flickered in the night sky, and thunder suddenly rose, and the terrifying thunder made Venom jump. Shit, nasty weather. The Venom returned to Peter's body cursing. It was extremely sensitive to sound waves and didn't want to be exposed at this time. Peter was keenly aware of the strange reaction of the Venom to the sound, thinking about how to stop the Venom if it got out of control in the future. Hey Peter, everyone is waiting for you, what are you doing here? At this time, Yang Ming's voice interrupted Peter's train of thought and startled him. Oh, that Yami, when did you come? Peter looked nervous, for fear that Yang Ming would see something terrible. Yang Ming was speechless. I didn't see you when I went to the bathroom just now, so I solved it here, go over quickly. Peter breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, let's. Whoever is with you, there is no space in the bathroom, I have to solve it here, you go first. Yang Ming walked to the corner, loosened his belt, and turned his head to stare blankly at Peter. Why, you still want to see me solve it? Peter smiled stiffly. I'm sorry, I'll go back first. After the other party left, Yang Ming could finally feel relieved. Sure enough, this guy was really parasitized by Venom. Boom, a white light suddenly appeared, and there was another thunderclap resounding high in the sky. Yang Ming's body trembled, as if something was on his hands. What's the bad weather? There's only thunder but no rain. Yang Ming cursed and pulled up his pants, looked at the starry night sky, and walked out of the corner as if nothing had happened. Hey buddy, how are you? A drunk buddy walked up to him. Yang Ming patted him on the shoulder and greeted him enthusiastically. Well, it's done, I'll wash it later. Here, Harry and Mary had had enough time in the swimming pool, and the two walked to the shore, casually wrapped in bathrobes, chatted with Peter and the others. Hi Yami, long time no see. As soon as Yang Ming came back, Harry greeted him with a smile. Peter's good friend, that is, his good friend, and he is not racially discriminatory, and he does not reject being friends with Asians. Yang Ming glanced at Peter, who was about to move beside Mary, and smiled at Harry. Hey, Harry, it's getting greener and greener recently, ahem, he's getting more and more handsome. Harry didn't understand the meaning, and showed off his biceps a little. Oh, Yami, you should pay attention to my muscles. Yang Ming, what's the use of big muscles, I can punch you in the shit. Haha, the muscles are good. He said perfunctorily. Thanks, Yami, Peter said you work hard, what do you do? Harry asked. My occupation is related to security work. Yang Ming said. Help the police fight criminals, and collect some labor fees by the way, saying that it is no problem for security work. Security work. Harry thought for a while. Yami, the Osborne Group is going to recruit a group of security personnel recently. If you come to work in the group, I will give you the highest salary. Osborne Industries is a world-class group, and the treatment of employees cannot be poor. Being able to work in the Osborne Group is something that most people can't dream of. Moreover, in New York, where guns are rampant, security work is one of the most valued departments of the group, and security personnel will be paid more. He asked Yang Ming to come to the group, and he didn't just find a job and just do it perfunctorily. Of course Yang Ming also knew this. Harry, you don't know my skills, so it won't be a problem if you just let me work for Osborne Group. He laughed. Harry said, no problem, Peter's friends are my friends, and I'm happy to help friends. You can rest assured that you will not be asked to do dangerous work, and your salary will not be reduced. Quote. Yang Ming frowned. He knew that Harry was doing this because of Peter. As one of Peter's few friends, Harry felt the need to help Yang Ming. Harry was really nice to Peter. If it wasn't for Peter's self-esteem, he might be able to work in the Osborne Group now. Even if Peter got into trouble with his clumsy upper body, with Harry covering him, Peter would be fine. Looking at Mary again, even though Peter could hardly hold back his restless heart, and the venom was constantly instigating in his mind, he still resisted the urge to confess in public. Friendship suppresses desire. What does the love triangle bring to men and women? Well, that brings excitement. Boom, boom, lightning flashed and thundered again in the night sky, white light kept flashing, and the deafening thunder became more and more intensive. Thunder snakes flashed across the sky above everyone's heads, quickly crossed the sky, and gathered in the direction of the distant suburban power station. The thunder that suddenly became violent shocked everyone present. Where is the fellow Taoist going through the tribulation here? Among the crowd, an old black man took this strange picture with his mobile phone. His face was excited, and he blurted out fluent Northeast dialect, but was drowned out by the violent thunder in the blink of an eye. Harry, the weather is very strange, we'd better go back to the room first, maybe it's going to rain. Yang Ming narrowed his eyes slightly, and suggested. Harry had never seen such a situation before, so he refrained from continuing to be happy, and greeted everyone to enter the villa. God, my God, the thunder tonight is terrible. Yes, it's scary, I feel like I'm suffocating. You should be scared to pee. Hey Charlie, are you looking for a spank? Stop making trouble, Master Harry is here, you two restrain yourself. In the lobby of the villa, before everyone could recover, the bright lights flickered for a moment, and the room suddenly fell into darkness. The white light outside the window flickered, the thunder continued intermittently, and a different atmosphere gradually spread in the room. Master Harry, there is a power outage, I'm going to turn on the backup power supply. And many more. Charlie stopped the man from moving. Master Harry, don't you think we should play some exciting games in this atmosphere? There were so many people in the room, Harry didn't feel the slightest bit uneasy. Oh, Charlie, tell me what exciting game it is. He became interested. Charlie scanned the crowd and said with a wicked smile, Master Harry, why don't we celebrate Halloween earlier? Harry's eyes lit up. Oh, what a great idea to have Halloween early. Yeah, Halloween, I'm going to be a devil girl. I'm going to play a werewolf. Vampires are my favorite. Everyone forgot about the strange weather just now, and once again thought of having fun, gathered together to discuss enthusiastically. When Harry saw this, he became very playful and thought of the cosplay props left at the villa for Halloween last year. Hey guys, the props are upstairs, enjoy this exciting night. Harry stepped on the coffee table and yelled loudly, everyone cheered and rushed upstairs, and soon only Yang Ming and others were left in the hall. Yummy, what do you want to play? Peter asked. Yang Ming shook his head, these foreigners really know how to play. I didn't think about it, and it's boring, how about you? He turned his head and asked. Peter smiled evilly. Of course I'm Spider-Man, the Black Spider-Man. Gwen, what do you want to cosplay? Gwen shrugged. As a fan of Spider-Woman, do you still need to ask? Yang Ming's cheeks twitched. These two guys exposed their vests openly, shamelessly. I thought about it, I cosplay the Red Spider-Man, go up and change now. Yang Ming said, ignoring the doubtful eyes of the two, and quickly disappeared from their sight. Gwen, on Halloween last year, Red Spider-Man hasn't appeared yet. Harry doesn't have Spider-Man's clothes here. Where can Yami find them? Oh, Peter, you're right. No, there's no Black Spider-Man suit here either, where do you find it? Peter, it seems to have exposed something. Gwen, there was no one cosplaying Spider-Woman on Halloween last year, so where are you going to find it? Gwen, it seems to have exposed something. The two looked at each other. Upstairs, Yang Ming found a corner, used a first-generation Spider-Man suit to leave the villa, and rushed towards the place where Razor gathered. Temporary tasks cannot be waited for, and need to be won by one's own efforts. Boom, boom, lightning flashed and thundered at high altitude, and thunder after wave shot out wantonly with white light. The forest in the outskirts was shrouded in this terrifying atmosphere, and the strong wind howled the treetops, sweeping the forest madly. In the picture like the end of the world, a red figure flew in the forest under the white light, and quickly swept towards the direction where the thunder gathered. Da da da. The roar of helicopters came from overhead, and the official forces discovered the strangeness here, and sent a large number of helicopters to investigate. However, under the deliberate targeting of the thunderstorms, a large number of helicopters can only hover at high altitudes several kilometers away from the power station, unable to really approach the gathering place of the thunderstorms. Yang Ming, who was flying in the forest, fell on the treetop and shook his head slightly when he saw this scene. It really is the Marvel world, and the official forces can't even handle this kind of scene. If you were in that world, Godzilla would blow you up. Wow wow wow. The wind howled, and a familiar figure swung across the sky, but Yang Ming, who was covered by leaves, was not found. Gwen, this guy is here too. Yang Ming grinned. That's okay, the sky full of thunder is really scary, let her lead the battle first, she will be happy. Thinking of this, Yang Ming launched a spider silk flying across the forest and followed Gwen far away. As time passed, a golden sun appeared in the distant night sky. It was faintly visible, a figure in the golden sun with its arms wide open, unscrupulously absorbing the energy of the thunder that filled the sky, and the golden light shone brighter and brighter. Below the golden sun is a suburban power station. The staff of the power station shivered in this horrible scene, kneeling on the ground and praying for God's protection. On the treetop not far away, Yang Ming stared at the golden sun in the night sky with serious eyes. Electric Man. The golden electric man seems to be different from the one in the movie. Yang Ming was also moved by the terrifying energy emitted by the golden sun. Ding. Temporary mission starts. Defeat Electron. Reward, 1% power of the first generation of Spider-Man. Unsurprisingly, a system notification sounded in his ears, and Yang Ming wanted to curse. The physics department beats the element department. How to spell. This is no longer a situation that ordinary surface-level ability users can handle. If the strength of surface-level ability users is carefully divided, and Yang Ming's strength is at A level, then this golden electric man must be at S level, or even at SS level. However, with Spider-Man's setting, he may not be able to compete with more powerful ability users. In the event of an outbreak, stop the train, pull the ferry, and easily receive the iron fist of the Black Dwarf. It completely exceeded Spider-Man's 25 to 50-ton power setting. Yang Ming thinks he should give it a try. Boom. Suddenly, a trace of golden lightning sputtered out from the golden sun, and directly blasted down the edge of the power station. The terrifying lightning kicked up a lot of soil, and the power station that had been forced to stop working was affected by the energy, and the surrounding buildings were turned into charred ruins. Yang Ming. Well, it's just a temporary task, so don't take it too seriously. I'm here to travel, not to save the world. Well, that's right, Electric Man is so cute, how could he hit him? So it was decided. Yang Ming's face was a little stiff. The golden electro-optic man was ridiculously strong. Could it be that he also came through the second time like Dr. Otto? That's not right. Since Spider-Man, No Return for Heroes, several villains have regained their sanity and cleansed themselves, so they shouldn't make such a big noise unscrupulously. So, this is the runaway electron from another universe. In his thoughts, because the electric man suddenly ran away, the explosion of the power station shocked everyone, and a large number of workers ran around screaming. The noisy sound made the golden electric man stop absorbing the energy of lightning. The golden sun dissipated, and a man wearing a green lightning suit and a golden lightning mask slowly emerged. Electro, Max Dillon. Max looked down at the crowd, with a strong mockery in his eyes. Humble ants, what a noise. Zzzz. Squinting his eyes slightly, 2 golden lightning bolts shot out, sweeping the ground. Boom. Lightning spurted and explosions continued. Everyone screamed and fled wildly, but no one was injured by the explosion. Ha ha ha, little ants, run away quickly. Max laughed, his eyes shot thunder from time to time, wantonly playing with the fleeing crowd. On the treetop, Yang Ming looked at the high-altitude electro-optic man with serious eyes, and he was even more sure that this guy was not the electro-optic man in the movie version. A white version of Max Dillon, truly evil. Shish. At this time, the slender white figure launched spider silk and flew down the battlefield, helping the staff of the power station to escape from the scene. Gwen, who was hiding in the dark, finally couldn't bear it any longer. Under the guidance of her father since she was a child, she knew very well what her strength could do for the weak. She's Spider-Woman, and she doesn't allow innocent lives to pass before her eyes. Although the lightning monster in front of him is terrifyingly powerful. Not surprisingly, Gwen's appearance attracted Max's attention. Oh, the Spider-Man of this world, a woman. The corners of Max's mouth turned up in a sinister smile. Very well, kill the second Spider-Man and use your corpse to celebrate my coming. After speaking, Max opened his arms wide, and the golden thunder surged all over his body. His 10 fingers controlled the terrifying thunder to shoot down like raindrops. The dense thunder power burst into endless light, and the ultimate sense of crisis filled Gwen's mind. Oops, Gwen exclaimed. Being in an open area, she couldn't use the spider silk to escape, but could only rely on her flexible body to shuttle between the gaps in the thunder. Boom, boom. Explosions in the night sky continued one after another. Although Gwen in the war could avoid the thunder bombardment, he couldn't avoid the aftermath of the explosion. He was soon blown away by the terrifying explosion and fell to the ground hard. Zzzz. Max, covered in golden electric current, slowly floated down. With a trace of curiosity on his face, he controlled the golden electric current to turn into chains, bound Gwen's limbs, and controlled him in midair. Hee, Peter Parker, I'm curious what you look like now, becoming a woman. Haha, it's ridiculous. Max sneered, reaching for Gwen's visor. After recovering from the explosion, when Gwen saw the situation, it was useless to struggle hard. The words of the other party reminded her of the previous scene again. Is it really Peter? The next moment, the mask was taken off, the long blonde hair was fluttering in the wind, and the exquisite face made Max's eyes shine. Oh, Peter, you're so beautiful, I'm not going to kill you. He had other ideas. I'm not Peter. Gwen's face was livid. Of course she knew that Peter was a man, and the other party mistook her for Peter, which made her unacceptable. Max was slightly surprised, but soon returned to his smile. Oh, okay, beautiful Lady Spider, can you tell me your name? He bowed slightly, like a gentleman. However, this illusion was quickly broken. Hey, golden dude, you've got a leak. A tease came from behind, followed by a bucket of cold water that drenched him. Wow, cold water splashed on Max, and the golden thunder flickered and immediately returned to normal. What? Yongming flew to the ground, and was very confused when he saw this scene. It's over, barbecue. Wouldn't the electro-optical man short-circuit when exposed to water? This unscientific. When Yongming scolded his mother in his heart, Max calmly lowered his head and looked down at Yongming below, his surprised gaze turned to disdain. So you are the real Spider-Man, the little bug in this world, is this the only thing you can do? Yongming smiled awkwardly, haha, sorry, I didn't mean it, will you forgive me? HMPH, what do you think? Max waved his hand with a sneer, and the palm of his hand shot out a golden electric current, which turned into a pillar of thunder with a diameter of several meters and smashed down to the ground. Boom! The earth trembled, mud and rocks splashed, and the violent golden thunder left a huge crater on the ground where Yongming was. With the smoke filled, Yongming slowly got up from the scorched ground. Ahem, so fast. Yongming covered his paralyzed shoulder and grinned, shaking his dizzy head. He lowered his head, only to see that the battle clothes on his body were torn and charred, and traces of white smoke quickly dissipated with the whistling wind. If the battle suit produced by the system is damaged, his strength will be greatly weakened. Mr. Spider, locked by the golden thunder, Gwen exclaimed. She did not expect that the powerful Mr. Spider would be vulnerable to the lightning monster in front of her. Max glanced at Gwen, smiled and said, Beautiful Lady Spider, I will destroy this humble bug, and you will also become the woman of the king of the world. Only a powerful and beautiful woman like you is worthy of the favor of the king of the world. Quote. After speaking, he didn't look at Yongming again, but proudly raised his hand, and the palm of his hand was once again filled with terrifying golden electric current, shooting towards Yongming's position continuously. Be careful, Gwen exclaimed nervously. Don't worry, you can't die. At the same time as Yongming retreated violently, the red and blue cards descended in the form of space gates. Collapse. The door of space was shattered, and Yongming, who put on the second-generation Spider-Man suit, moved nimbly, wandering between the sky and the thunder. In terms of flexibility, Yongming at this time is better than Gwen just now. Coupled with anticipation of the aftermath of the explosion, Yongming quickly escaped from the thunderstorm, and while approaching the forest, he launched spider silks and swayed into the forest. HMPH, funny bug, you can't escape. Max smiled dismissively, and his figure instantly turned into a golden electric current and disappeared in place. In the next second, a golden electric current streaked across the night sky, and all the trees along the way were affected by the spreading electric current, igniting fires in a straight line. ZZ. Max turned into an electric current and stopped in front of Yongming in an instant. His palm shot thunder and knocked Yongming to the ground. Boom. The soil splashed, the door of space descended again, Yongming burst out, and the gorgeous nano suit ejected the 8 spider spears, and slipped into the dense forest. Obviously, his injury was not as serious as imagined. This battle suit. Looking at the slippery figure that disappeared in front of his eyes, Max had a look of interest in his eyes. In that world, He had never seen such a metal battle suit. Little bug, you got me a little excited. Max laughed and stopped paying attention to Gwen. His figure turned into an electric current and ran across the forest. Long lines of flames traversed the forest, and the firelight illuminated half of the sky. Boom! The dense forest exploded with golden thunder. Max stopped his fast-moving figure, scanned the sea of flames below, and frowned. Strange, where did the little bug go? He carefully scanned the environment below, turning into electric currents and wandering around from time to time, but there was still no trace of Yang Ming. With the fire getting bigger and bigger, and there was not a lot of thunder in the night sky, the official forces finally rushed to the scene. Lightning Freak, please stop your behavior. The helicopter sent a warning, and Max found Gwen, who had disappeared again, and his heart gradually became irritable. Humble ants, nasty ants. Zzzz. A terrifying electric current erupted from Max's body, turning into a golden thunder across the night sky, covering all the helicopters within the destructive range of the electric current. Oops, the electronics failed. Beep beep, the body is damaged. Oh shit, retreat. Unable to retreat. Boom. The terrifying current spread, a large number of helicopters continued to erupt with sparks, the spiral wings failed, and the bodies lost their balance one after another, falling into the forest with black smoke, and the violent flames invaded the forest again. Easy to deal with the official forces, Max still did not find the trace of Yang Ming, and could only disappear into the night sky as an electric current. In the sea of fire, Yang Ming protects Gwen in the earth pit under his body, and the nanosuit activates the invisible function to integrate with the surrounding environment. Seeing Max leave, Yang Ming still didn't move. Mr. Spider, the lightning man has left. Gwen pressed her face against Yang Ming's chest and whispered. Yang Ming shook his head. Wait a little longer. After a while, the night sky fired golden thunder again, and Max returned to the scene. Little bug, I'll always catch you. No trace of Yang Ming was found, and Max finally left this time. A lot of current was consumed, and the power stored in his body was a little insufficient, so he couldn't stay here any longer. Seeing this, Yang Ming breathed a sigh of relief. Although Max couldn't kill him in a short time, it was pointless to continue pestering him. Mr. Spider, you are so amazing, you actually know that the lightning monster will come back. Gwen's eyes glowed with admiration. Yang Ming got up, glanced at the sea of fire around him, and said calmly, "It's nothing, if you read more wuxia novels, you can do the same." Yeah, I heard that some people quit drugs because of reading wuxia's novels. Yang Ming waved his hand to tell Gwen to stop talking nonsense. Okay, there's a fire here, hurry up and call the authorities to put out the fire. Although Iron Man added all the functions he could think of into the suit when he made the nano suit, the environmental stealth function is one of them. However, considering the ability of the little spider and the limitations of the suit itself, the nanosuit does not have the function of extinguishing fire. This time he was able to escape from the enhanced version of Max, thanks to the nano-metal suit. As for defeating Electron, who is not afraid of water, this task cannot be completed for the time being. Thinking of this, Yang Ming helplessly rubbed his numb shoulders. This wave was too bad. When Electron came to this world, he felt that he needed to restrain himself a little. On the side, Gwen opened his cuffs and found that the special communication device on his wrist had already been damaged by the electric current. Mr. Spider, the communication device is broken. Well, it's okay, there are water pipes near the power station, you can try to put out the fire yourself. But the power station employees. Oh, I remembered, I saved 28 employees just now. One is worth $100. The total is 2008. You must remember to give it to me. After being electrocuted, Yang Ming would of course have to charge some medical expenses. Gwen, New York City, dark alleys. In the messy pile of waste, the blue electric current appears and disappears, and the figure outlined by the blue electric light can be vaguely seen. ZZ. As the beating of the blue electric current became slower and slower, the light on this person became dimmer and dimmer. Boom. A muffled thunder flashed over the city, and golden lightning pierced the night sky, covering up the brilliant neon lights in the city at a certain moment. The blue figure looked up at the sky, his strange pupils shrank suddenly, and the blue skin on his face trembled slightly. Is it the same kind in this world? Why do I feel a stronger threat than humans? The blue figure's tone was full of powerlessness. He looked down at the increasingly dim light of his body, and sighed deeply. Electric eel. Just leave, no one will care about me anyway, no one will accept me. His blue face was full of bitterness. Zizi. He closed his eyes and stimulated all the energy in his body. The last remaining light from his body illuminated a corner of the alley. After the energy is exhausted, it should disappear forever, right? Ta ta ta. In a trance, faint footsteps came from the silent alley. Hey kid, do you need help? The debris was removed, and the kind old man woke him up. You, are you not afraid of me? He turned his head sideways, not daring to look at the old man's face. The old man looked at the weird man with a faint blue light in front of him, and his words were full of inferiority. Sympathy flashed in his eyes, but it quickly turned into encouragement. I believe you are a good boy. They say, I'm a monster. The old man squatted down with difficulty, and smiled kindly. Ha ha, child, the real monster is in their hearts, not you. There was a glimmer of light in the eyes of the blue light man, but it quickly fell silent. I'm a monster. No, you are not. The old man took out a crumpled poster from his bag. Look, he's Spider-Man, and there's Spider-Woman. You believe in yourself, you can be like them. Looking at the Spider-Man on the poster, the Blu-ray man had a complicated expression, even overflowing with a trace of resentment. I can't be a hero, I don't have their luck, this world doesn't need me. Before he finished speaking, the old man's tone became severe. Listen, kid, there is always someone who needs you. What, son? I'm tired. I need you to take me home. The old man's eyes were wrinkled and his face was tired. The gleam in the blue light man's eyes gradually became dazzling. You need me. The old man nodded and said seriously, yes, I need your help, can you take me home? Can I? The tone of the blue light man was full of doubts, but his frail body seemed to be injected with new strength. He knew that someone needed him right now. Seeing hope in the other party's eyes, the old man nodded slightly. My name is Ben Parker, boy, and you? I'm Max. Ben Parker took off his coat, and his old hand slowly covered Max's body with the clothes, covering up the blue light on Max's body. Okay, Max, nice to meet you. I'm glad too. Max smiled happily. Humans are afraid of monsters and at the same time long to be monsters. In the suburban villa, people dressed up in various monster costumes are still having a carnival, among which Peter's cosplay is the most surprising. Looking at the black Spider-Man with the most flamboyant dance in the crowd, Marie, who cosplays as Catwoman, couldn't help laughing. Hey Peter, your Spider-Man is so cool. Thanks, Mary, you're hot too. Peter raised his eyebrows confidently, and spun around with the music, deliberately showing his swollen muscles, which aroused the eyes of all the girls. Harry wasn't here, and Peter couldn't help but feel restless again. Hey, Peter, it's okay to call you that. The evil voice of Venom came from his ear, and Peter paused. What do you want to do? He frowned slightly. Venom grinned. Hey, Peter, you have a chance now. What chance? A chance to be a hero. What? Peter was taken aback. I smell a strange guy around here. Kill him, be a hero, your Mary will love you. Shut up, Harry is my friend. Oh, what if Mary and Harry break up? What? Peter was moved. If the two broke up, he would not be sorry for his friend. What should I do? A wicked smile crept onto Peter's cheeks. In the corner of the bathroom, there were faint but subdued roars. Why early? Am I going to die? No, I want to live. Harry huddled in a corner and struggled in pain. His handsome face had long since turned ferocious, and the skin from his body to his cheeks was covered with a strange green color, and the excruciating pain in his body at the same time made him almost lose his mind. Chapter 31. His rationality was gradually overwhelmed by the pain, and he was vaguely aware of what his father had said. Harry, it is hidden in your body. This is the power of the Osborn family, and it is also the treasure I gave you. Father, what exactly is this power? You'll find out someday. When shall I wait? When you are about to die. The memory screen came to an abrupt end, and Harry in the corner struggled in pain, screaming, No, I don't want to die. In the hoarse despair, a large piece of green climbed up his cheeks, and the skin began to show signs of ulceration. No, I don't want to die. I still have help. At the moment of life and death, Harry seemed to think of something, struggled to get up, stumbled and ran to his room. Along the way, his unbalanced body crashed into the corridor wall, and Harry didn't feel any pain at all. He is now unaware of his exaggerated strength, he just wants to live. Boom. Soon, Harry broke through the door and found the green injection in the dark compartment from the cabinet in the room. Father said that the regenerative medicine developed by Dr. Kurt Connors will definitely save me. Holding the green potion, Harry seemed to be grabbing the last straw, and stuck the shot into his arm without hesitation. As the potion entered his body, Harry felt that the severe pain in his body quickly dissipated, and the spread of green skin was contained. Call. Harry sat slumped on the ground, sweating profusely, breathing heavily, with a lucky smile on his face. Ha, ha ha ha, survived. Before he could be happy for too long, the medicine in his body reacted with the blood, the green skin spread again, the body muscles swelled rapidly, the clothes were torn, and the skin also condensed into green scales that glowed with light. No, don't. Why is this? The panicked Harry stared at his mutated claws. The mutation of his body caused his vision to change. Boom. The thick green tail shattered the bed into pieces. Harry, who turned into a green lizard man, screamed frantically, and a monster roared from his fangs-intertwined mouth. Roar. Do not. The next moment, the wall in front of Harry shattered, and a powerful black arm stretched out from the hole in the wall, roughly pinching Harry's neck. Peter, who followed Venom's suggestion, finally arrived. He turned into a venom spider, looked at the destroyed room, and roared at the lizard monster. Monster, tell me, where is Harry? Harry recognized Peter's voice, and his vertical pupils dilated suddenly, reflecting the appearance of a black Spider-Man in his eyes, extremely shocked. Scare. Peter. He opened his bloody mouth wide, and the interlaced fangs in his mouth looked extremely terrifying, but he couldn't explain his state. He didn't dare to let Peter know that he was a monster. Just like the previous Peter who was unwilling to accept Harry's help, that poor self-esteem caused trouble. As for why Peter became Spider-Man, he had no time to think about it. And Peter heard his name from the mouth of the monster again, and he was even more angry after being parasitized by the venom. Monster, I'm not the same now. Boom. The angry Peter's arm muscles swelled again, and he punched Harry's body, flying in anger, directly smashing the wall of the room. Kakaka. Peter stepped on the gravel and slowly approached the ruins of the wall. He grabbed Harry's head from the gravel, and his face covered by the mask became ferocious, and he was about to run away. Tell me, what did you do to Harry? Scare me. After being crushed by violence, madness gradually filled Harry's eyes. The lizard gene played a role in his body, and his consciousness began to blur, replaced by a second personality, the irritable Harry. Peter. In an instant, the guilt-ridden Harry bared his teeth and roared violently. The muscles of his green body swelled, and Harry's swollen claws swept across, easily tearing the battle suit on Peter's chest. Boom. As Harry turned back and lashed out, Peter was caught off guard and flew into a corner, smashing spiderweb-like cracks in the wall behind him. Wow wow wow. The damaged battle suit on his chest healed quickly, and Peter finally couldn't control himself and started to run away after being hit. Crack. The floor under his feet crumbled, and Peter roared and rushed in front of Harry, slamming his head into Harry's chest, knocking Harry into the rubble again. The gravel splashed, and Harry was not to be outdone. The irritable he chose to ignore Peter's existence, but regarded the black guy in front of him as the most hated enemy, and mercilessly wrestled with Peter. Power beyond ordinary people's imagination erupted from the two of them. In just a few rounds, the entire room was devastated and turned into ruins. Soon, the backup power supply was destroyed, and the villa fell into darkness again. The movement upstairs attracted everyone's attention. Boom. Before they went upstairs to check, there was a loud bang on the floor. As the ceiling of the hall shattered, the chandeliers and giant objects fell down, the roar of the monster sent chills down everyone's spine, and they fled the villa screaming. Among the panicked crowd, Mary was squeezed to the end by everyone, and before she had time to escape from the villa, she could only subconsciously hide in a corner, huddled up in a ball with her head in her hands. Peter. At this time, the monster bared its teeth and roared, and the broken ceiling blasted down the black figure again, wrestling with it. The two who fell into madness fought in the most primitive way, punching to the head, endlessly. Mary, who was huddled in the corner, was frightened by the splashing debris, and finally couldn't help screaming. Mary! Mary's scream rang in his ears, and Peter paused, recovering a bit of sobriety. Harry seized the opportunity, swept Peter away with a sweep of the long tail, and then lunged and locked Peter's neck. Peter, you lost. Harry grinned grimly. Cough cough. Peter's throat was locked by sharp claws, and he was suppressed by a huge force, which made him almost out of breath. He felt like he was going to die. Wow wow wow. Suddenly, his battle suit squirmed, the black liquid slowly mutated, his body muscles swelled again, the devil form replaced the spider form, and his long and narrow white eyes were full of greed. What? Harry's grim smile froze. Quack quack. You lost. Delicious meal. Venom replaces Peter, controls the entire body, and can exert all its power. Ignoring Harry's throat lock, Venom flicked his tongue and laughed grinningly, and mercilessly lifted Harry's head and bombarded the ground. Boom! There was a muffled sound, debris from the floor splashed, and Harry's lizard head was firmly pressed into the pit. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free from the Venom's grip. Call! The long tail of the lizard struck again. Venom's other sharp claw easily grabbed the long tail, and then stepped on Harry's body with his foot. Quack! Big meal! Tear! Green blood splashed across the room, and Harry's tail was torn off by the venom. The severe pain made Harry scream, but he still couldn't break free from the venom. Ignoring Harry's struggle, Venom casually nibbled on the lizard's tail, chewed it twice and then spat it out. It's not delicious, I want brains. As he said that, Venom raised his other hand and placed Harry's head in front of him. His huge mouth opened in an exaggerated arc, his long tongue swept across, and his creepy fangs dripped mucus, and he was about to bite off his head in one bite. In the corner, Mary covered her mouth and closed her eyes tightly. She was so frightened that she did not dare to look directly at the shadows in the night, but the sound of the mucus wriggling reminded her of a terrifying picture. What will the monster eat? She seems to have heard Peter. The monster is going to eat Peter. Thinking of this, Mary stood up and exclaimed, "No, call." A gust of wind blew past her, ruffling Mary's hair. The next moment, the shadow in the darkness screamed and was blasted out of the hall by a sudden force. The inertia caused the shadow to roll around on the ground for a few laps, and finally plunged into the swimming pool, splashing a lot of water. Seeing that the figure of the monster was blown away by an unknown force, Mary boldly stepped forward and turned on the flashlight of her mobile phone. What? With a scream, Mary covered her mouth, unable to believe what she saw. Harry, who was in a coma, was naked, his green skin was slowly degrading, and the shadow of the monster could be vaguely seen. Harry, swimming pool, puff. Venom jumped onto the swimming pool with a puff, glared at the red figure in front of him, bared his teeth and roared. Peter's idol, Spider-Man, you pissed me off. As the moonlight fell, the nano-metal suit reflected the crystal light of the stars, and the metal spider logo slowly shimmered. Yang Ming was not interested in staying there with Gwen to fight the fire, but he didn't expect to come across such a thing when he came here. Looking at the drenched Venom, Yang Ming shot a spider web with his right hand, and took the camera on the table not far away into his hand. Crack. He casually took a picture of the other party, and a system prompt sounded in his ear. Ding. Temporary mission starts. Defeat Venom. Reward, 1% power of a generation of Spider-Man. Yang Ming chuckled. Oh, it's not too bad tonight. Bug, I'm talking to you, are you deaf? Seeing that Yang Ming ignored him, Venom stuck out his tongue in a rage. Don't worry, you will cry later. Yang Ming fired the spider silk, calmly sent the camera to the corner, and pointed at the Venom, without concealing his arrogance at all. Okay, let's count your sins. Oh shit, terrible lines, let me tear you up first. The Venom's long tongue splattered mucus, and the 10 fingers popped out sharper claws, and rushed towards Yang Ming brazenly. The evil wind rushed in, and the Venom's ferocious mouth was close in front of it, and its sharp claws shone with a terrifying cold light, as if it could tear apart all enemies. Yang Ming stood on the ground calmly, tapped the spider logo on his chest, and 4 sharp nano-spider legs popped up behind him. Brush brush, puff puff puff. In an instant, the sharp spider legs turned into cold light, cutting through the air at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Before the Venom could react, the 8 spider lances pierced through the limbs, and the body was frozen in midair. Ah, it hurts me, Spider-Man. The Venom screamed, the devil's face was separated from Peter's face, and the black liquid condensed into a more terrifying grimace and attacked Yang Ming. Snapped. Yang Ming slapped his face backhand, easily turning the grimace into black liquid. Wow wow wow. The black liquid squirmed and turned into venom, and cursed loudly. Hun Dan, you can't do this to me. On the limbs, the black liquid squirmed rapidly, the venom broke free from the control of the 8 spider lances, instantly repaired the injury, and his hands turned into black swords and slashed down. Boom. As the wind howled, Yang Ming turned sideways calmly with his hands behind his back, and the 2 black knives brushed past the tip of Yang Ming's nose by a hair's breadth, sinking deep into the concrete under his feet, splashing gravel all over the sky. Swipe. Puff. Yang Ming still didn't make a move, but the 8 spider lances behind him poked a few holes in Venom's body while the cold light flickered. Ah! You are not allowed to stab me. The Venom roared furiously, swung his 2 knives frantically and slashed at Yang Ming. Boom, boom. The power of the double knives is infinite, and everything encountered along the way will be split in half. But Yang Ming's figure was extremely flexible. He brushed the blade every time, and manipulated the 8 spider lances from time to time to poke the venom into a sieve. With the tenacious vitality of the venom, this small injury is nothing, and Peter will not be injured because of it. Yang Ming can play with confidence for a while. As more and more times were pierced, Venom gradually felt a kind of powerlessness. Don't poke it. PFF'd. Spider-Man, you can't. PFF'd. Woo, I was wrong, don't continue poking. PFF'd. Woo. Facing the slippery Yang Ming, Venom's mentality exploded, covering his face with his hands and crying bitterly, and chose to fade out of the demon form, leaving the next thing to Peter. The black spider suit covered his whole body again, and Peter returned to his body consciously, and the next moment he saw a fist the size of a sandbag attacking him. What? Boom. Yang Ming's punch landed on Peter's right eye circle, and Peter let out a pained cry, covering the corner of his eye and falling to the ground. Wait for me. Don't wait, come again. Yang Ming gained power and was relentless, retracted the 8 spider lances behind him, and flew towards Peter. Peter had no choice but to stand up and deal with it. As soon as the punch came out, Yang Ming turned his head slightly to avoid Peter's attack. At the same time, he slashed Peter's neck with a knife in his palm, and then knocked Peter into the air with an elbow. It's too slow, you can only punch when you see the target. As Yang Ming said, he hooked his fingers and signaled to come again. Peter was still in a state of confusion, but he was beaten up for no reason, his negative emotions were magnified again, and he gritted his teeth and rushed towards Yang Ming. Boom. The fist with all its strength was wrapped in a gust of wind, and the fist that could smash the iron armor looked very weak in front of Yang Ming. Crack. While dodging Peter's punch sideways, Yang Ming raised his hand and hit the opponent's arm joint, breaking his arm. What? Peter exhaled in pain, and the black liquid quickly repaired the injury. See the target clearly before shooting, and keep 3 points. Following Yang Ming's angry reprimand, Peter gritted his teeth and continued to punch, subconsciously obeying Yang Ming's words, no longer being unable to close the punch just now because he exhausted all his strength. Fine, go on. It's a good punch, but it's too light. Move quickly, don't hesitate. Don't lean forward, keep your feet steady. You don't have to use your eyes to predict the enemy's position. Use your own advantages, control your body, don't be affected by the venom. Try to use Venom's special ability as a weapon. Boom. Not long after, as the black double knives slashed down, Yang Ming turned over to avoid the blades. Before he landed, he saw Peter's double knives change shape, simulating a black spider web covering him in midair. Call out. Yang Ming shot the spider silk to the ground, pulled his body to the ground, avoiding the black spider web and came straight to Peter. At this time, Peter already had some combat experience under the guidance of Yang Ming, and saw that the black spider web shrank immediately when it missed, and the 2 knives condensed again to force Yang Ming back. Whoa! The 2 knives turned into liquid, and the simulated black spider silk shot out from Peter's palm, perfectly predicting the position of Yang Ming's retreat, and fixed his feet in place. Immediately afterwards, Peter kicked a piece of gravel at Yang Ming. Before the gravel had any effect, he used the elasticity of the black spider silk to quickly approach Yang Ming. Sharp bone spurs condensed on his knees and pointed directly at Yang Ming's heart. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying force erupted from Yang Ming's body, and the black spider silk binding his legs was instantly broken by the force. Turn around and kick. Boom! The air exploded, and the eyes of Peter, who was flying towards him, were blurred for a moment. The next second, he felt a sharp pain in his side face. Before he could react to what happened, his body had turned upside down and flew more than 10 meters into the swimming pool. Yes, Peter, you passed. At the moment of falling into the water, such a sentence came from the dizzy Peter's ear. After a while, Peter, who regained his strength, jumped out of the swimming pool and found that Yang Ming's figure had disappeared. Wow, wow, wow. The black liquid subsided, and the suit fell off. Peter thoughtfully looked at the mess at the scene. Mr. Spider, why did he teach me how to fight? Peter frowned, recalling the previous battle, and found that although the opponent's voice had been specially processed, it was still very familiar. Quack quack, Peter, congratulations on gaining stronger power. The voice of Venom sounded in his mind, and Peter came back to himself, suddenly remembering something. Oops, Harry, Mary. Thinking of the two of them, Peter rushed into the villa and finally found them in the underground garage of the villa. Go away, Mary, go away, I tell you to go away. Harry's heart-piercing roar echoed in the garage. Come on, Harry, you have seen my appearance, you can go, I don't need your sympathy. Harry, you've always been like this, you never cared about anyone's kindness to you except Peter. The quarrel between the two intensified, and finally under Harry's stubborn gaze, Mary turned around in disappointment and left without looking back. Looking at Mary's back, Peter appeared from the corner of the garage, his eyes full of worry. But Harry's situation seemed to be even worse. Peter could only follow Harry's growl, and found Harry, who was covered in green blood. Peter. The moment Harry saw Peter, he panicked and shrank in the corner, not wanting the other party to see his embarrassed side. Harry, it's good of you to be alive, green monster. Yes, I am that monster, the monster you defeated. What? Peter's eyes widened, and he froze in place. On the other side, because of the appearance of the monster, everyone fled into the forest in a panic. When Gwen came back, she happened to meet the crowd who were fleeing frantically. Hey, wait, Ruth, what's up with you? Gwen found Ruth, looked at Ruth's state, and had a bad feeling in her heart. Gwen, monsters, there are monsters. Ruth hugged Gwen tightly, her eyes were stained with tears, and her body was trembling. Monster, oops, yummy, Peter. Gwen was startled and was about to rush towards the villa. Hey Gwen, what are you doing here? At this time, Yang Ming walked out of the darkness with a toothpick in his mouth and his trousers, looking at the panicked crowd with puzzled expressions. Seeing that Yang Ming was fine, Gwen breathed a sigh of relief. Yummy, it's great that you're fine, there's a monster in the villa, hurry up. What, monster? Yang Ming screamed, rolled his eyes, and fainted on the spot. Receive 1% mission rewards and sleep for a while. Gwen, it's an exaggeration. Beep beep. Suddenly, the cell phone in Yang Ming's pocket rang, and Gwen took out the cell phone from Yang Ming's body, saw that the caller ID was Peter, and quickly connected the call. Hey, Peter, I'm fine, the monsters have left, you send them away, don't come back, leave the rest to me. Can you believe me? In the garage, Peter hung up the phone and looked at Harry with complicated eyes. They won't come back, and Mary won't reveal your secret, don't worry. Harry looked down at the still green skin on the back of his hand, smiling bitterly. So what? I won't live long. No, Harry, I will find a way to cure you. Peter quickly comforted. As soon as the words fell, black liquid stretched out from behind him, and quickly condensed into a devil's face. Quack quack, Peter, do you want to save your good brother? I can help you. The restlessness of Venom made Peter's face look ugly. What do you want to do? I just want to help. No, ghosts believe you. Oh, Peter, you make me so sad, we're buddies. Shet, go back. No, I want to talk to you. Shut up, you have breath. As the two bickered, Harry stared at the evil black devil with surprise in his eyes. Oh God, what is this? Venom turned his head and grinned grimly. I am Venom. A week later, under Harry's signal, none of the witnesses who were present that day dared to disclose information about the monster. The episode of the villa came to an end, and Peter also embarked on the road of punishing evil and promoting good, and fighting criminals. He has always longed for superpowers, and with the help of Venom, he is eager to become a superhero like Spider-Woman. It was one of his wishes. Under Harry's hype, Black Spider-Man soon became the third civilian icon after Spider-Woman and Spider-Man. The involution between Spider-Man begins. In the room, Peter saw a lot of comments from fans of Black Spider-Man on the internet. He was full of vanity and thought about going out again tonight. The combat power is not as good as Spider-Man, and he must surpass him in terms of popularity. Yes, to work hard, to struggle. ZZ. Suddenly, the computer screen goes black and the power goes out throughout the apartment, leaving Peter annoyed that he can no longer watch the comments praising him online. Walking out of the room, I saw Ben Parker lighting the candles he had prepared earlier, and then calmly made a phone call to ask someone to turn on the backup power. Uncle, the power went out for the 6th time this month, do you really need someone to check the line? Although he was in a bad mood, Peter still suppressed his irritable heart and smiled at his only relative. Ben Parker looked at Peter and said with a smile, "No, there will be frequent power outages here in the future, just get used to it." "Oh, well then." Peter shrugged, thinking that he was a superhero and shouldn't worry about the little blackout, so he stopped being angry. "Uncle, I'll go out and come back later." Peter was about to change his shoes when Ben Parker stopped him suddenly. "Peter, you seem different." "Yes, Uncle, I've gotten better," Peter said confidently. Ben Parker shook his head. "Son, I know you've become better, but with greater power comes greater responsibility." "Okay, Uncle, I see." Peter was a little impatient, and after interrupting Ben Parker's next words, he couldn't wait to leave the house. Looking at the empty room, Ben Parker sighed. ZZ. A blue electric light flickered from the window for a moment, and Max, who was covered in blue light, came to Ben Parker and squatted down to comfort him. "Uncle Parker, don't worry about Peter, he is very capable." "Max, thank you for telling me Peter's secret." The weather at night was very bad, with dark clouds, a cold wind sweeping across the city, and a light rain soon fell. On the top of the tall building, Peter turned into a venom spider and scanned the nearby streets in the rain. After this period of cleaning, there were no criminals in the nearby area, and a sense of loss could not help but emerge from his heart. He is empty without criminals. Woo! Soon, under Peter's persistent watch, the sound of sirens from a distance lifted his spirits. Coming. Call. Suddenly, the wind passed by my ears, and a familiar voice came. "Good evening, Peter." Peter's eyes blurred for a while, and he saw the red and blue figure flying past at an unstoppable speed. "Bye, Peter." "Peter. Oh, it's really bad luck to be preempted by Mr. Spider again." Peter was helpless, and immediately gave up the opportunity to compete with the other party to save the citizens. According to Yami, this situation is called involution. If I can't beat it, I will definitely. Peter, feed me, we will definitely defeat him. Venom began to egg again. Shut up, you only ate pig's head 2 days ago. No, it was 3 days ago. Hungry ghost, don't play tricks. Just about to argue with Venom, Peter casually glanced at the street and found a familiar figure. It's Mary. Excited, Peter jumped off the tall building. 3 days ago, Harry and Mary broke up. Mary is his second wish. Guys, don't miss me too much, bye. In the next street, amidst the cheers of enthusiastic citizens, Yongming launched a spider's thread to swing up a tall building, found a hidden place and started counting money. A total of 150 this time. Peter's soul is frequently dispatched, the introversion is serious, and his income has dropped a lot. Yongming cursed and put the US dollars into his pocket, then took out his mobile phone to browse the web. It's not an option to continue like this. He still has to collect 100 billion US dollars to make steel armor. The last time Harry invited him to work in the Osborn group, Yongming refused. If a superhero goes to work as a security guard, he will be ashamed if his peers find out, and he won't make much money. Be sure to find a lucrative career. Thinking about it, Yongming suddenly caught a glimpse of the huge poster in the opposite square, and frowned. How about, try it, sunny afternoon, tea time. Daily Bugle, office, boss, big news. Clumsy newspaper employees burst into the office, cameras raised, faces flushed with excitement. Boss, big news, Spider-Man. Ah, what are you doing, boss? Looking at Jameson in the office, with a precious cigar in his mouth and holding a model of Spider-Woman in his hands, dancing to the music, the employees were confused. Cough cough. Seeing someone enter the door, Jameson hid the model in a jerk, turned off the music, stroked his mustache awkwardly, took a deep breath of his cigar, and pretended to sit calmly on the chair. Jack, didn't I tell you to knock before entering? Jameson said sternly, smoking a cigar. The employee quickly apologized. I'm sorry boss, I'm rude, but it's really big news. While talking, he quickly took out the photo and put it on the desk, excitedly said, Boss, look quickly, it's Spider-Man. Snapped. Before he could finish speaking, Jameson blew his beard and stared, slapped the table and cursed, Jack, you are challenging my bottom line. As I said, my newspaper doesn't cover everything about Spider-Man, Spider-Woman is the real hero. The guy in the metal suit is a complete piece of trash, he's not even a man. Quote. Jameson seemed to have thought of something sad, looking at the street photo of Spider-Woman on the table with a heartbroken expression. He actually did something to my Spider-Woman, I can't spare him. He gritted his teeth and almost bit off the cigar in his mouth. No matter which world you are in, Jameson is the biggest black fan of Spider-Man, and George is nothing compared to him. Seeing this, the employee scratched his head, but boss, this time it's really big news, Spider-Man has made an advertisement. Jameson dismissed it, what's so strange about shooting commercials, what? He stood up abruptly, picked up the photo on the table and looked at it carefully, as if he was trying to distinguish the authenticity from the fake. In the photo, Spider-Man in a metal suit shoots spider silk and leaps in the air at the commercial shooting site. Jack, isn't this guy a stuntman? Jameson looked skeptical. Jack affirmed, it can't be wrong, what I saw with my own eyes is the real Spider-Man. No stuntman dared to take any protective measures, jumped from the highest point of the Empire State Building, and completed all kinds of unimaginable actions midway. Quote. Hearing this, Jameson stroked his mustache and said thoughtfully, this fool should be short of money. Jack, you should do a column about Spider-Man right away, and you must pull Spider-Man down from the altar and let my favorite Spider-Woman be the only hero. Quote. Ah, boss, this is not very good, Spider-Man. The employee wanted to refuse, but when he saw Jameson's murderous eyes, he immediately stopped talking nonsense. Okay, boss, leave this matter to me, but what reason are you looking for? Jameson slapped the other person on the forehead, and roared, Idiot, do you still need me to teach you the reason? Spider-Man's conspiracy is to deceive the public's trust and love, and use his rising popularity to make money. He is a fool. The employee covered his forehead and nodded repeatedly, Okay boss, I'll do it right away. By the way, there are black guys, write them in together. Good boss. Advertisement filming location near the Empire State Building. Ah, Yang Ming, who was wearing a metal battle suit, sneezed and rubbed the tip of his nose. Strange, with Spider-Man physique, can he still catch a cold? Yang Ming shook his head, turned to look not far from the shooting location, and grinned at the blonde big waves who were filming underwear commercials. It should be an allergy to a certain perfume. On Friday, turn on the air filtration system. Okay sir. With the air filtration system turned on, Yang Ming felt that his breathing became much easier. Well, it's so long, so white, and so smooth. Hey, Mr. Spider-Man, this is your first commercial, how are you feeling? At this time, the director enthusiastically handed Yang Ming a cup of coffee and said with a smile. Personally directing the commercial filmed by the superhero himself, he is going to be popular. Yang Ming took the coffee, nodded and said, Well, it's not bad, when will you call me for the fee? Mr. Spider-Man, don't worry, we will transfer the money to your card soon. That's good. Yang Ming smiled with satisfaction. On the first day of his debut, the labor fee was comparable to that of the top international brands, so, not bad. If you are not in a hurry, the cost can be discussed later. There is an artificial intelligence Friday to guarantee the account, and he is not worried about his identity being found out by following the clues. It doesn't matter if it is found out, anyway, he has no relatives here, so he is not afraid of being caught. As for friends, Peter and Gwen are not ordinary people, so he doesn't need to worry. Moreover, there have been frequent power outages in the apartment recently. It seems that an interesting guest has come and has a good relationship with Ben Parker. Think about it, there is really no trouble after revealing your identity. His only trouble is poverty. Thinking of this, Yang Ming got up from his exclusive VIP seat and said to the director, "Okay, I have to rush to the next scene, thank you for the coffee, bye." Holding the coffee in one hand, Yang Ming launched a spider's thread to fly across the high-rise buildings and left from the shooting location. Looking at Yang Ming, who left gracefully, everyone at the scene showed envious eyes. For 3 days in a row, Yang Ming traveled to various commercial shooting locations, and the wealth he got was far more than helping the police fight criminals. Do you earn a lot? Many. Replaced with face. Soon, the news of Spider-Man's filming of the advertisement was reported by major newspapers and websites. Regarding Yang Ming's coquettish operation, the citizens had mixed opinions. Some people think that Spider-Man has fallen, and his ideals have been tainted by money. Some people think that being able to see Spider-Man on TV every day is also a kind of happiness. Compared with the other two, Spider-Man, Yang Ming is the most controversial, but if there is controversy, there will be heat, which in turn makes Yang Ming's appearance fee skyrocket. Surprisingly, Yang Ming was very satisfied. Beep beep. At the shooting location, the phone rang. Yang Ming crossed his legs to answer the phone, and waved his hand to greet the fans outside the venue. "Hey, Uncle Long, how are you doing? How are you doing recently? Brat, are you short of money?" On the other end of the phone, Chen Long's tone was a little worried. Yang Ming frowned. "Uncle Long, why do you ask such a question?" Uncle Long seemed to know something, but that's right, Chen Long was very familiar with Yang Ming's boxing technique. The TV station reported it every day, so it was inevitable that he would be caught in a special scene, and it was normal for him to be recognized. "Oh, it's nothing, just asking casually. If you need money, tell Master that Master has worked hard here for so many years, and he still has some strength." Chen Long's tone was very confident. Hearing this, Yang Ming felt a little moved, and also felt a little guilty. He almost forgot that he still has a cheap master. But, what did Uncle Long say? He has money. Uncle Long, you were asked to give up food and housing before, and now you say that you are rich. Which one of your words is true? Yang Ming's tone was full of resentment. It's okay to have no money, but it's too much to pretend to be poor. "Ah, brat, if you don't come to see me for so many days, you'd be ashamed to let me take care of you, don't you want to be ashamed?" "Oh, Uncle Long, you are the one who wants to take me in as a disciple, and it's not me who pretends to be your teacher. Stinky boy, you want to piss me off and inherit the inheritance, right? Huh, that's a good idea, brat, with so many apprentices under my sect, it's not your turn to inherit the inheritance. Then there's nothing to talk about. Brat, you're so annoying now. What's wrong with dragging? Is dragging against the law? Ouch, my heart." After some bickering, the strangeness that had not been seen for many days quickly dissipated. "Brat, let's be serious, Master will definitely help you." "Really, thank you Uncle Long, I don't want much, only 99 billion. Beep beep. Hanging up the phone, Yang Ming's cheeks twitched uncontrollably. It seems that the cheap master is not very rich. Forget it, let's make money honestly by shooting advertisements. By the way, Dr. Otto should have brought a lot of black technology and earned startup capital. It is also good to start a company with a partner. Being your own boss makes more money than shooting advertisements. Thinking of this, Yang Ming took out the red nano card. Chinatown, Longmen Wugwan. In the room, Chen Long came to the bed and carefully opened the secret compartment under the bed. In the dark compartment, the ancient treasure box slowly emitted faint purple light, and the mysterious power made Chen Long subconsciously stop breathing. After a long time, Chen Long came back to his senses, smiled wryly and shook his head. For 100 billion US, even a little fool dares to speak. Wait a little longer, if the brat is really destined, maybe he will send this treasure out. Chen Long took a deep breath and hid the treasure box. How to make up for the incomplete power. Octavius Group. At this time, Yang Ming visited the laboratory full of sense of science and technology, fiddled with various black technology instruments in the laboratory from time to time, and was speechless. Drive Otto, you are doing well now, you have started your own company. Aside, the white-haired Otto looked at the young Washa in front of him, and smiled slightly. Little guy, we met in a hurry last time, and I don't know your name yet. My name is Yang Ming. Okay, Yami, thank you for your trust. Yang Ming was willing to reveal his true appearance in front of him, and the white-haired Otto was still very moved. Yang Ming, the stock of Yami is hard to pass. Drive Otto, start a business to make money? He asked. The white-haired Otto shook his head. It doesn't matter whether you make money or not. I'm not interested in money. I'm happiest when I stay in the laboratory every day. Forehead. Yang Ming's cheeks twitched. Drive Otto, if you are not interested in money, why don't you help me make a set of armor for free? The white-haired Otto lowered his head and pondered. Well, actually, money is very important. After all, the laboratory's funds are tight, and the company has just started to make money, and it is all invested in experiments. Yang Ming. Drive Otto, what is the company's money-making project? It's very simple. Using an arc reactor to supply energy to the city, the profit is not bad. Dr. Otto didn't hide anything, and continued, the interests in this area are too complicated. Because of the suppression by the Osborne Group, the company can't grow bigger now, otherwise I don't have to worry about research funds anymore. The suppression of the Osborne Group. Yang Ming rubbed his chin. He didn't have any clue about the secrets of the Osborne Group. He could try to join hands with Dr. Otto to test the real bottom line of the Osborne Group. Drive Otto, you should also know that Norman Osborn is surrounded by Sandman, Dr. Connors, the Green Goblin. In the middle of Yang Ming's speech, the white-haired Otto interrupted him with a smile. Haha, Yami, I was looking for you about this. He manipulated the mechanical arm to take out a silver box, and said, Yami, here is their antidote, let them return to normal, and Norman Osborn can no longer use them. Many years ago, the little spider saved him, and he also learned about the process of making the antidote through another Peter. Among the Sandman, Lizardman, and Green Goblin, except for the Sandman who is a bit more difficult to deal with, the other two cannot be his opponents, and he can easily deal with them. But now his style of doing things tends to be that of the little spider, and he wants to fulfill the wish of the little spider and make them all return to normal. So he created the antidote. At this time, the middle-aged Otto, who was originally staying in the corner of the laboratory, also came to Yang Ming, and the evil and hostility before was completely gone from his face. Mr. Yami, please, their fate should not be like this. The middle-aged Otto bowed. Yang Ming frowned. You can do it yourself, why must it be me? The white-haired Otto smiled, turned around and clicked on the virtual computer, and the monitors in every corner of the Osborne Group were all over the laboratory. Norman Osborn hid them very deeply. We searched all over Osborne Industry, but we still haven't found any trace of them. Yang Ming was thoughtful. So, you need me to lure them out? Yes. The white-haired Otto nodded and said, Norman Osborn has summoned so many capable users, but there has been no movement. I suspect he has another purpose. And Yami, you, and Spider-Woman, are uncertain factors in Norman Osborn's plan, and he will definitely attack you. Quote. Yang Ming thought for a while, but I've been out frequently recently, and I haven't seen Norman Osborn taking action against me. Can I lure them out? Definitely. The middle-aged Otto stepped forward with affirmative eyes. Norman Osborn didn't take action because he wasn't sure. If you, Yami, are in crisis, let Norman Osborn see hope, and he will definitely make a move. Quote. Crisis. Yang Ming took a step back subconsciously, with weird eyes. You won't beat me up first, and then lure them out. Yami, you're so smart. Ah, can I refuse? Yang Ming glanced at the mechanical arms behind the two Ottos, and couldn't help but shudder. It hurts to be beaten by 8 mechanical arms. The white-haired Otto showed a kind smile. Of course, this is your right. But if you are willing to help, I can consider giving you a set of armor for free. The white-haired Otto's tone was full of temptation. This. Yang Ming looked embarrassed. The cost of follow-up maintenance will be halved. White-haired Otto added a condition. Ahem, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. Don't worry, leave this matter to me. Haha, Yami, you are such a good boy. When does it begin? I'll let you know when I'm ready. It was already evening when we returned to Parker's apartment. Yang Ming walked into the elevator carrying the suitcase, just in time to meet Mary and Peter. Hi Mary, what is this? He looked at the suitcase at Mary's feet with a puzzled look on his face. Peter stepped forward, suppressing the excitement in his heart, and said with a slight smile, "Mary and Harry broke up and moved here temporarily." Yang Ming, good guy, it took over so quickly. "Hi, Yami, we will be neighbors from now on, please take care of me." Mary stretched out her hand and smiled. Yang Ming smiled and shook hands with the other party. "No problem, if you need anything, well, tell Peter, he will treat you very well." "Yes, I know he will." Mary looked sideways at Peter, a trace of admiration flashed in her eyes, and Peter returned a tender smile. Seeing this, Yang Ming knew it in his heart. Mary probably knew Peter's secret, otherwise she wouldn't have shown such eyes. For Marie, falling in love with a superhero wasn't just exciting, it was exciting. Upside down kiss, this thing is too indescribable. Ding dong, the elevator door opened, and the two said goodbye to Yang Ming. On the next floor, Yang Ming walked out of the elevator, returned to the room, and put the box away. After taking a shower, he came to the sofa and turned on the TV. International news. Recently all major energy supply bases in the world have been affected by severe weather, resulting in a serious shortage of energy supply. 18 countries are now suffering from energy supply problems. On the TV, the screen jumps to an energy supply base, where thick black clouds with a diameter of several kilometers hover over the base, in which lightning flashes and thunder resounds, golden electric currents recklessly traverse the sky, and terrifying energy transforms into thunder snakes and blasts the ground from time to time, like a harbinger of doomsday. Yang Ming couldn't help but twitch his brows. It's Electro, Max. This guy was able to rob the energy supply base's countries in such a short period of time. He really has a lot of appetite and is not afraid of dying. The bad weather in the news is mostly just an excuse. There is something wrong with the energy supply base, and it is impossible for the authorities not to send people to investigate. Once the official forces find the culprit, they will definitely take action, but with Max's soaring strength after traveling through time and space once, these countries are powerless and can only let Max absorb energy. Fortunately, although Max is crazy, he is not arrogant enough to provoke world-class powers. He only harasses some small countries from time to time so that he can get away with it. The next time we meet, Max's strength may be even stronger, but Yang Ming is not completely helpless against Max. Against Max, he already had 9 points of confidence. The remaining 91 points are because I am afraid that my death will be too ugly. Putting Max's matter aside for now, Yang Ming raised his hand to call out the virtual computer. Friday, scan body data and build personal information. Okay, sir. Yang name, comprehensive strength. 12% power of the first generation of Spider-Man, about 3 tons. Strength level, surface level. Strength evaluation, D grade. Battle suits. First generation Spider-Man battle suits, second generation Spider-Man battle suits, and third generation Spider-Man battle suits. There is no such level of strength in the Marvel world. It is just the strength data established by artificial intelligence according to his ideas, which is convenient for comparison of combat power. SS grade, S grade, A grade, B grade, C grade, D grade. He temporarily divided the surface level into 6 levels. There is no need for a higher level, because it has already broken through the surface level. When he didn't use the Spider-Man suit, he was just an ordinary superpower. Except for his handsome appearance, good figure, great strength, and durability, he was ordinary in other respects. After using the Spider-Man suit, his strength is about A level in normal state, and can reach S level if he is serious, and can be promoted to SS level after outbreak, and even surpass the surface level. This is Spider-Man's strength setting, which cannot be controlled by him. Yang Ming's own 3 tons of power can also be superimposed with the suit. As his strength grows, his strength will increase after using the Spider-Man suit. It's just that he hasn't tried the explosive state yet, because none of the villains he encounters can force him to that point. The strength of the Golden Electro-Optical Man is at least S level, and it can reach SS level when fully charged, maybe even stronger. At the power station, the Golden Electric Man only suppressed Yang Ming with all his strength, but did not injure Yang Ming. This shows the horror of Spider-Man's physical strength. If it weren't for the limitations of Spider-Man's suit, he could fight all day. As for villains such as the middle-aged Otto, the Lizard Man, and the Green Goblin, their strength is probably around A level. Gwen and Peter are comparable in strength and are also at A level, but the two have great potential, and their combat effectiveness cannot be measured by ordinary standards. The strength of the white-haired Otto is unknown, but it is certain that he is at least SS rank. The Sandman is very powerful, and if his weaknesses are ignored, his strength cannot be estimated for the time being in a field with enough sand. Although surface-level ability users are strong and weak, most of them have their own weaknesses. It is not difficult to find a weak point to defeat the strong. If you have a special ability buff or weapon, you can ignore the challenge of leapfrogging your strength. Just like the US team, the strength seems to be average, but the existence of passive skills. US Team vs Iron Man. US Team vs Ultron. American Team vs Little Spider. US Team vs Thanos. To describe it in one sentence, it is: no one can be killed, no one can be killed. When Yang Ming lamented the extensive and profound Chinese culture, the news interrupted by the TV caught his attention again. Now we're going to break in a special piece of news. An hour ago, many volunteers from Osborne Industries were injected with the genetic medicine developed by the group, resulting in genetic mutations and turned into monsters, massacring citizens wantonly. The police have now launched an investigation into the Osborne group. The screen shows the police's actions to encircle and suppress the genetic monsters. The monsters are not afraid of being strangled by hot weapons, causing a large number of casualties in the Osborne group. The screams of the crowd and the chaotic scene made the picture very blurry, but we can see the strength and madness of the monster, as well as the professionalism of the reporters on the scene who are not afraid of life and death. Yang Ming thought with his eyes, and subconsciously thought that this matter could not be as simple as injecting genetic medicine to cause chaos. If Norman Osborn couldn't even solve this trivial matter, Yang Ming would have discovered this guy's secret a long time ago, and he wouldn't wait until now. With such a big commotion in the Osborne group, it is certain that the stock will plummet, and it may be directly. Wrong. Yang Ming frowned. He suddenly thought of the plot in the movie. Turn on the virtual computer and make a video call to the white-haired Otto. Hey, Dr. Otto, have you read the news? Yes, Yami, I see that the Osborne group is in a lot of trouble. What do you think? Yami, did you find something? White-haired Otto's heart skipped a beat. I want to ask about Norman Osborn's situation within the Osborne group before this incident happened. Wait a minute, I'll check. Soon, the white-haired Otto had results. Yami, I found out that although the Osborne group is Norman's family business, due to poor management many years ago, many shareholders settled in the group, causing Norman to lose his absolute right to speak. Hearing this, the corners of Yang Ming's mouth twitched slightly. It is as expected. Yami, what did you guess? The white-haired Otto's old face was full of curiosity. Yang Ming nodded. Yes, Dr. Otto, the chaos in the Osborne group is only temporary. The appearance of genetic monsters cannot be suppressed by the strength of the Osborne group. After all, the power of the consortium is unimaginable for ordinary people. There are many capable people around Norman to help. Now that it was reported so quickly, causing the stock to plummet, perhaps this was also Norman Osborn's plan. Quote, a word awakened the dreamer, and the white-haired Otto also thought of this. Yami, what do you mean? Norman Osborn wants to take advantage of this incident to take advantage of the sharp drop in the stock to acquire equity from other shareholders and then control the entire Osborne group. That's right, everyone thinks that the Osborne group is finished, those shareholders are eager to get out, and it's easy for Norman Osborn to succeed. But this may not be the ultimate goal of Norman Osborn. Quote, Yang Ming frowned. He guessed Norman's plan to control the entire Osborne, but there were still many details that he didn't understand. The stock of the group plummeted, and even if Norman Osborn took control of the group, his vitality would be severely damaged. If you want to restore the group's vitality in a short time, you can only rely on genetic medicine. The monsters that the police cannot destroy will be shot by Norman, using genetic medicine as a gimmick so that his capable users can destroy them. To a certain extent, no side effects, genetic medicine represents a bright future for the Osborne group. In this way, not only is there an advertisement for free, but also the group's stock can skyrocket rapidly, earning a lot of money. Being able to control the group and make money is just incidental. Norman's real goal should be to solve the genetic disease of the Osborn family. But what is the connection between the two? Yang Ming still couldn't figure it out. But what is certain is that controlling the Osborn group is only one part of Norman's plan. What is the secret behind it? DD. At this time, the virtual computer flashed red light, and the reminder from artificial intelligence interrupted Yang Ming's thoughts. Sir, subject has left the apartment. Yang Ming came back to his senses, clicked on the virtual computer, and the map showed 2 red dots rushing towards the vicinity of the Osborn group. The red dots represent Peter and Gwen respectively. 2 days ago, he gave the two of them a small gift with a positioning device installed on it, so that Yang Ming could keep track of their movements at any time. It seems that the two intend to deal with those out-of-control monsters, but Norman Osborn will not allow them to intervene in this matter, and they should have arranged for a backup. Thinking of this, Yang Ming stood up and stretched. Oh, I really can't be free for a moment. He smiled at the white-haired Otto on the other end of the video. Drive Otto, we may be able to complete the previous plan now. There are still 3 streets away from the Osborn group. At the temporary construction site, a strange wind and sand swept through the large amount of sand stored at the construction site, and within seconds it condensed into a terrifying sand tornado with a diameter. Boom! The wind was rumbling, and in the violent wind and sand, an angry giant face turned into the sky and roared wildly. Kill Spider-Man, go home. Whoosh! The giant tornado was wrapped in a large amount of sundries, quickly shrunk, and instantly condensed into a giant sand giant tens of meters tall. Boom! Under the angry fist of the sand giant, vehicles on the street exploded one after another, citizens screamed and fled, and the city became more chaotic. Boom! The violent explosion brought Peter and Gwen to the scene. The two leaned against the curtain wall of the high-rise building, staring at the terrifying sand giant, and their hearts were shocked. Oh, no way, this big guy is a genetic monster made by the Osborn group. Peter felt incredible. Gwen glanced curiously at Peter in the black suit, and explained, no, this monster has already appeared. No, Mr. Spider, you were there at the time, how did you forget this guy? And your voice. Apparently, this was the first time she met Peter's Venom Spider. She thought it was Yang Ming's vest before. Peter also heard the meaning of Gwen's words. Facing his former idol, he now feels very calm. Spider-Woman, I'm not alone with that guy, don't get me wrong. Before Gwen was surprised, Peter smiled confidently. Don't feel sorry, I forgive you, because from today on, you will have a deeper impression on me. After finishing speaking, he jumped down from the curtain wall suddenly, and the black liquid extended the spider silk and flew in midair, and landed firmly on the construction site support behind the sand giant. Hey big man, who do you think I look like? Peter twisted his waist and made a provocative sound. Before the sand giant could turn around, Peter stretched out his black sword and slashed angrily. Boom! The sharp blade pierced through the air with unrivaled power, and cut off the right arm of the sand giant with just one encounter. Wow wow wow! The giant's right arm turned into flying sand and drifted away with the wind, and the giant also looked back to see the proud Peter. Spider-Man, killed you! The giant roared, and the broken right arm was swept by flying sand, and quickly condensed into a brand new arm, smashing towards Peter's place. Oh, shit, the big guy heals faster than the guy in the body. Peter cursed secretly, and quickly extended the liquid to fly in the air, avoiding the oversized fist that was pounding down menacingly. Boom! As the huge sand fist fell, most of the construction site support was blown away in an instant, dense steel bars flew around, and fell towards the citizens who had not fled the scene. Oops! Seeing this, Gwen hurriedly jumped down from the tall building, and launched spider silk to intercept the flying steel bars, preventing casualties. Die! At this time, the giant roared wildly, and once again swung his giant fist to sweep away everything in front of him. Boom! A corner of the unfinished building was smashed by a giant fist, and a large amount of gravel splashed down. Gwen was in a hurry to save people, and had no time to pay attention to the giant, so he could only entrust Peter with the task of attracting the giant. Peter found this out too, and he was happy to help, which helped boost his popularity. Hey big man, want to experience New York ass? Peter yelled, patting his ass. Spider-Man. Boom! The sand fist slammed down again, and the vehicles parked on the side of the road were sent flying by the huge force, exploding in midair. The raging flames gradually spread, Peter's black suit squirmed slightly, and the power of the venom became unstable. Peter's hands stretched out jet black spider webs and flew in the air, avoiding several fierce blasting hammers of the Sandman one after another. Peter, don't get close to the flame. Venom suddenly reminded, his tone full of irritability. Man, what's wrong with you? Peter leapt over the building on the street, his body clinging to the curtain wall, his brows furrowed. The fire will hurt me. Peter shook his head helplessly. Oh man, you are such a headache. Looking at the fire burning below, Peter shattered the glass curtain wall with a punch, leapt to the floor and threw a pile of debris at the Sandman. The Sandman was not afraid of being harassed by debris, and his huge fist slammed straight to the floor where Peter was. Boom! The giant fist bombarded Peter, and Peter felt like the sky was collapsing. The floor he was on was pierced by the Sandman's punch, and then his eyes were flooded by the wind and sand, constantly squeezing his body. Oops, got you, Spider-Man. The Sandman withdrew his giant fist, with a ferocious smile on his face. Looking at the huge face looking down, Peter subconsciously wiped off the cold sweat that didn't exist on his forehead. Ah, this man, I need to explain, I'm actually not that guy. Spider-Man, you can't fool me. The Sandman roared wildly, and the wind and sand blew across the sky, and Peter's black battlesuit was covered with dust. Hey, is this your saliva? Don't be like this, I'm a clean freak. He kept on babbling, and in his heart he kept asking Venom for a way out. Hey William Baker, you're smart, he's Spider-Man, kill him. At this moment, a figure flew quickly from the street, and Yang Ming turned over with a suitcase and landed in the building next door. Peter turned his head, saw the familiar red and blue figure, and covered his face helplessly. Oh, Mr. Spider, I suspect that you are jealous of my popularity, so you want to trick the big guy into making me a meatloaf. Yang Ming shrugged. I'm not interested in popularity, my happiest days are. It's you, Spider-Man. The Sandman roared and punched down, interrupting Yang Ming's next coquettish talk. Boom! A corner of the building was shattered by a sand fist. Yang Ming flew out of the gravel, and plunged into the body of the sand giant. Peter, is this guy joking? The next moment, I saw a strong golden light erupting from the sand giant's body. The sand giant's body trembled violently. The sand continued to fall off his body, and his size shrank rapidly. There was a painful roar from his mouth, and he could no longer hold Peter in his hand. Peter turned over and fell to the ground. He stared at the middle-aged man who quickly recovered his human form, and was stunned for a moment. Mr. Spider, this is... He looked at Yang Ming beside the middle-aged man, his tone full of disbelief. Yang Ming casually threw the glass instrument aside and locked the box again. Oh, this is the antidote to his desertification, he has now become an ordinary person. He explained. On the side, William Baker regained his human form. He looked down at his hands with extremely complicated eyes. Lost his strength, and still go home to see his daughter like this. But if you still look like that, what can you do when you go home? To be regarded as a monster by everyone. Oh, Spider-Man, you won. William Baker looked at Yang Ming, smiled wryly and shook his head. Boom! Suddenly, a flame flashed across the tall buildings in the night sky, and the green demon armor flashed away from the sky above everyone's heads. Quack quack, Mr. Baker, you haven't lost yet. The Green Goblin's strange smile echoed far away, and William Baker seemed to have noticed something. He raised his hands, the pupils in his eyes shrank, and his hands quickly disappeared with his thoughts. My power is back. William Baker got up and screamed, and the scattered sand and soil swept the area with the guidance of unknown forces, and the violent sandstorm once again vented endless power. Oops, is this an expired antidote? It was tricked by Old Man Otto. The sudden change caught Yang Ming off guard and couldn't help cursing. He hastily launched the spider silk to quickly fly and damage the high-rise building, away from the crazy William Baker. Peter, what are you doing in a daze? Run! He reminded the dazed Peter. Oh, wait for me. Peter followed Yang Ming and flew far away, and the Green Goblin on a glider smiled and dropped a large number of special pumpkin bombs into the sandstorm. Boom! When the pumpkin bomb exploded, a large amount of specially made compressed fuel was released, and the sandstorm engulfed the sky with flames, turning it into a terrifying flame tornado, as if it could drown everything. Quack quack, try our flame tornado. The Green Goblin hovered high in the sky, commanding the Sandman to kill Yang Ming and the other two. Boom boom boom. The flame tornado crazily devours everything it encounters along the way, turning it into its own fuel. From a distance, the black battle suit on Peter's body felt the scorching temperature, and he faintly flinched. Ah, this guy has become even hotter after eating the bomb. Looking at the horrible scene in front of him, Peter swallowed dryly. Call out. Gwen flew over, subconsciously said to Yang Ming, "Mr. Spider, will the white-haired octopus come to help us?" Yang Ming's cheeks twitched. Ghost knows if he will come. I was cheated by an unreliable antidote this time. The flaming tornado struck fiercely, and Yang Ming glanced at the fire hydrants in the street below. His heart skipped a beat. Peter, go down and turn on the hydrant. Even if the Sandman has been strengthened through time travel, he should still be afraid of water. Hey, I'm not ready yet. Before Peter could react, Yang Ming kicked him off the tall building. A strong sense of weightlessness came over him, and Peter quickly let the venom stretch the spider's silk. Call out. Several black spider threads stuck to the curtain wall, and Peter was finally able to control his body, flying across the street and kicking off the fire hydrant on the side of the road. Oh, my toe! Peter cried out in pain. The fire hydrant was kicked off, but the imaginary flow of water did not appear, which was obviously tampered with in advance. Yang Ming had an ominous premonition in his heart. No, we were fooled. Norman Osborn's goal is not only to control the group, but also us. Yang Ming suddenly thought of this. Intense vibrations came from the glass curtain wall behind him, and the roar of monsters was faintly heard in the building. The spider sensor issued an alarm. Yang Ming and Gwen looked at each other, and jumped off the tall building without hesitation. Boom! In an instant, the glass curtain wall shattered, and dense green lizard monsters broke through the curtain wall, opened their fangs and mouth in midair, and vowed to tear a piece of flesh from the two of them. Call! The scorching wind blew past, and Yang Ming and Gwen flew to another tall building. The lizard monsters behind them couldn't use their strength in the air, and fell to the ground one after another, smashing out pits. Peter flew up to join the two, and the three looked at the large number of lizard monsters pouring out of the building. Their expressions were ugly. There is a flame tornado in front, dozens of lizard monsters in the back, and a flying green goblin watching over it. They seem to be cornered. With so many lizardmen, can this monster still produce energy? Peter cursed. Yang Ming frowned. Drive Cotter's gene medicine is indeed energy producing, turning all humans into monsters like him. The chaos within the Osborn group should have been caused by this gene drug. Quote. Mr. Spider, don't you have an antidote? Peter asked quickly. It's useless. Yang Ming shook his head, opened the box and threw out the green glass bottle. A large amount of green mist fell on the lizard monster. Unlike the state of the Sandman when exposed to the antidote, these lizard monsters showed no abnormality after being exposed to the antidote, and the antidote had no effect at all. It's strange, even if there is something wrong with the antidote, it won't be completely useless. Yang Ming frowned. These lizard monsters are not humans, but lizards injected with human genes. Gwen's face was ugly. No matter what, the nearby police force has been sent to stop the monster in the Osborn building, and we can only rely on ourselves here. On your own. Are you sure? Peter pointed at the raging flaming tornado with a helpless tone. The fire hydrants in this street were tampered with in advance. Without external help, those with physical abilities would suffer a lot from those with elemental abilities. Yang Ming stared at the flame tornado not far away, and said, "We can only wait now." Waiting for what? The two wondered. Waiting for the Sandman to hold on. Yang Ming said, "The power of the flame is not free for the Sandman. The temperature at the center of the flame tornado is constantly rising. If the temperature reaches a certain level, the sand grains in the tornado will be melted by the high temperature. At that time, he will only have to choose. Either give up the pursuit, or be condensed into glass." Quote. The two also thought of this, and with hope, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, now let's deal with these lizard monsters while retreating, Gwen said. The strength of these lizard monsters is far inferior to that of Dr. Kurt. Her bloody spider silk can easily break through the defense. On Peter's side, the lethality of the venom is even better, and these lizard monsters are a big meal for the venom. However, there are too many, and they dare not take it lightly. As for Yang Ming, there is no objection. On. It is good. Reaching the agreed goal, the three of them jumped down, turned into three directions, each led away a part of the lizard monsters, and retreated while fighting. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Gwen flew in the air, and the blood-colored spider webs continued to shoot out, and the lizard monsters hit on the head by the blood-colored spider webs hugged their heads and howled, losing their fighting power. Quack quack, big meal. On the other side, the venom couldn't wait to replace Peter's right to act independently. He turned into a venom demon and tore up the lizard monster in front of him. He bit off the monster's head and ate it happily. In the three directions, only the number of lizard monsters chasing Yang Ming was the largest. Surrounded by monsters, Yang Ming popped out a sharp 8 spider spear from behind, rushed into the building and rushed forward with his head covered. Friday, turn on the one-hit kill mode. Okay, sir. In an instant, the golden lines of the nanometal suit glowed with light, Yang Ming's eyes glowed red with blood, and the piercing killing intent permeated the air. Roar, puff puff. The 8 spider lances turned into a cold light, and the lizard monsters encountered along the way had no power to fight back and were pierced through the heart and fell to the ground, leaving behind Yang Ming one after another broken corpses of monsters. Boom. He shattered the wall in front of him with one head, and Yang Ming sent spider webs flying across the tall buildings. Quack quack, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Above the head, the devil glider swooped down at a high speed. The Green Goblin laughed ferociously, and pointed the sharp edge of the front end of the devil glider at Yang Ming in midair. Very well, I have been waiting for you for a long time, too. In midair, Yang Ming's tone was joking. He turned over abruptly and shot the spider silk onto the Green Goblin's feet, then he used his strength to fly around, flexibly avoiding the cutting of the sharp blade, and punched the Green Goblin. Boom, kakaka. The air exploded, and the Green Goblin felt his eyes go black, and the armor on his chest was shattered in an instant, and he landed a solid fist on his chest, and 3 waves of force passed through his body one after another until the armor on his back was blasted out of the protruding fist. Print. Bring it to you. Yang Ming kicked the limp Green Goblin from the devil glider, grinning. Friday, take control of the demon glider. Okay, sir. The nano-metal under Yang Ming's feet quickly turned into liquid and merged into the glider. When the glider was about to fall, the artificial intelligence finally controlled the glider. Boom! With the roar of energy, the demon glider turned into an extreme arc and swept across the ground, taking Yang Ming soaring into the sky. Oh, it's heaven! Yang Ming yelled excitedly, stepped on the devil glider to turn around, and swooped down to meet the lizard monster below. Da da da! The front end of the glider popped out of the muzzle, and the tongue of flame continued to heat up. The dense bullets fell on the group of lizard monsters, splashing green blood. By throwing down a few pumpkin bombs, the violent flames unleashed wantonly, and Yang Ming too turned and flew towards the flame tornado without turning around. With the devil glider, the flame tornado could no longer keep up with Yang Ming's movement speed. Seeing the scorched black and mess left by the flame tornado, Yang Ming stepped on the glider to bypass the flame tornado that devoured everything crazily. Hey, Baker on the opposite side, look over, look over, look over. Yang Ming made a provocative voice, and the angry face in the flames was looming, and the flame tornado turned to kill Yang Ming, raging back and forth on the dilapidated streets. The spread of the flame is temporarily controlled by Yang Ming, and the rest can only be relied on by Gwen and Peter. Time passed, and before the Sandman could no longer withstand the high temperature, the sound of a flute suddenly sounded in the distance, and a fire truck was quickly approaching. What's the situation? Yang Ming looked at the empty driver's seat of the fire truck, his face full of bewilderment. Friday, is that you? Sir, I cannot remotely control the vehicle remotely. That's it. Yang Ming was stunned. The fire engine came galloping, the blue current cut through the night sky, and a figure shrouded in blue light passed behind Yang Ming. You guy, what are you waiting for? After saying this, the blue figure pierced the night sky again and disappeared. Yang Ming guessed the other party's identity, shook his head and laughed. Good guy, Uncle Ben is really awesome. He wasn't surprised by the recent appearance of the 2 electric men. The spider silk was launched and flew over the fire truck, and the nanometal was transformed into a liquid and melted into the controller. Yang Ming put on a hat, and launched a water gun towards the flame tornado. Puff! The powerful water flow spurted high into the sky, and the flames collided with the water to produce a large amount of water vapor. The Sandman roared and roared, and the sand particles in the flame tornado were washed away by the water. As time passed, he could no longer maintain the flame tornado. Not long after, the blazing flames were extinguished, and the sky was full of mist, and Yang Ming found a pile of semi-vitrified human-shaped gravel in the corner of the street with a strong smell of burning. "Hi, William Baker, I want to make you a glass artwork and put it on display in a museum. You don't have any objections, do you?" Yang Ming looked down at the pile of gravel and grinned. "If you don't speak, you agree." Wow wow wow. The grains of sand on the ground were barely condensed into a palm, and Yang Ming raised his middle finger. "I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.